by the river where the rubies grow. Hop in the sky in the merry-go, stolen by the crow who's as white as snow, to give to the belly for ready and go. Not one day later when the baby could speak, he tore apart his nest with a quick technique, struck by the strength of his own sharp beak, bound to the sound of his mother's Now the days go by and the white crow flies, days from the gaze of his mother's eyes, cutting through the stalks of the old wild rye, rubies on his feathers through the ramify. Take him by the shimmer and shake him by the shine, the white crow glows with the lightning fine, struck by the magic of the oldest kind, he's headed far away across the borderline. I save the sun from rainy day. I'll just close my eyes and wish it away. I brave the desert from a bitter heart in my feet and strength in my toe. I met an angel who started to cry. She said, your love is fake and you're gonna die. I'll lend you my love for another day. Fell to my knees and feed every breeze. My mind did rewinding through time and listening. I said to the angel, is this destiny? And she kissed my cheek and I ceased to be. And she kissed my cheek and I ceased to be.
Good evening. Good evening. How's everybody doing? Who's out there and how you doing? I get some welcome to another Cullahvision weekly Twitch stream in my lovely studio here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Today's a special day because of terrible presidential debates. So, going to watch some of that. I think it starts in about 10 minutes. I turned on maybe a couple minutes of it. The ABC News pre-debate conversation, and man, I already could feel my jaw grinding. Just terrible. Pop it. It's always great to see you. Keeping the stream alive. Drums from this keyboard. Not bad. Looping it. I'm not really sure. This phrase pad. Phrase pad. Because what I could do is record this on here. Whoa. What the? Oh, wow. It's doubling it up. Oh, that's kind of cool. It's like slightly delayed. Interesting. Let me get out of there. That's nice. It's a little, but unfortunately, those drums are probably shit. The drums are shit. I think I just figured out how to do that. I've been wondering. That thing's been fucking with me forever. I think I just made a breakthrough. Fucking breakthrough. Is it I already forgot it. Damn it. I have to look it up. Hey, what's going on, Lauren? Just playing some pre-election keyboard and drum beats. But I had something earlier, but I lost it. I think it just started now, actually. It looks like it's in 25 seconds, so let's load it up. Hold on. I have it where I could... Oh, but the sound is off. I wonder if that's for the best. I'm not so sure. See, I just ordered and it's coming, a digital mixer with buttons on it that I can mute things. That'll be nice. I think that'll allow me to use the stream a little bit better, but let's... Might as well.
The main event starts right now. The first
Yeah, we need some
presidential
uplifting
debate,
content. That's for damn
live
sure.
from Case Western Reserve University and Cleveland Clinic in Ohio.
It's
and
a
New
it's a
York
wild
City.
world we live in.
Reporting, Chief Anchor George Stephanopoulos.
Good evening. Welcome back to our
God,
special
I
coverage
hate
of this
George
first presidential debate.
Stephanopoulos.
Just minutes away now. Donald Trump and Joe
I don't
Biden
know.
will take the stage for
I'm just
90
kidding.
minutes,
This whole
6
thing's
topics
just
on
gonna be
the
me
table.
shit
The big
talking. I
question,
think
will the candidates
everything.
do anything tonight to change the course of this race?
It has
President Trump
to.
is behind right now, has
We
been for
have to.
months. And our statistics guru Nate Silver at 5
Hearing him talk,
calculates that Joe
yeah,
Biden
dude,
is
that
coming
makes
into
me
this debate season with a
that makes me
78%
wanna
chance of winning the White
too.
House. But there are
If you know what I mean.
5 weeks to go, and President Trump has a history of shaking things
Not the
up.
fave.
Our chief White House correspondent John Carl is on the scene in Cleveland.
George,
I would rather have George Stephanopoulos.
Publicly available measure, he is losing this race, trailing in the national polls. No
Yeah.
consistent lead in any of the
It's
top
gonna.
dozen
I feel like it's gonna be
competitors
very
around states.
soon
He needs
for me to
change
like
the dynamic of this race.
lower the volume and go back to the
Is
music.
best chance for him to do it. He's been here before. 4 years
Man.
ago, his campaign was collapsing, and he turned it around in part with
What do we do? Drink it every time he sniffs?
relentlessly and ruthlessly on the attack. I expect that that's
What
what people try to do.
who are we talking about there?
John Carl, Mary Bruce also in Cleveland covering the Biden campaign. Joe Biden has been
Like,
here
are
before
we talking
as
about
well.
Biden?
Not at
The sniffing
presidential,
Biden?
but had
He has to
two
sniff other
presidential
people.
debates.
Yeah,
Joe
definitely.
Biden
If he sniffs someone, if Joe Biden
This is
sniffs
his
someone, that's
27th
definitely a
debate for the
shot.
White House, but Joe Biden has never faced an opponent before.
Oh,
like
Trump.
Donald Trump. He says all he has to do to win here tonight.
Yeah,
is
I'm gonna
vote,
use the rest
but
of
it is
this
not going to be that simple. Joe Biden knows that Donald
Canadian
Trump's going to
club
make this personal. He is
in
going
my
to go on the attack.
ginger
Joe Biden's
turmeric
goal
tea.
and his challenge here tonight is to try and rise above
I don't know what
that,
you guys
not
are drinking,
slide
but
down into some
it's,
brawl with the president.
that's
Biden
the name
will
of the
fight
game.
back if the president
I don't know.
misconstrues his record, if he goes after his family, but don't expect Joe Biden to spend a lot
It's,
of time fact-checking the president. Instead, he wants to speak directly
Oh,
to the
C-SPAN?
American people.
Oh,
He wants
that's a
tonight
good
to
call.
highlight issues. He's going to hit the
That is
president
such a
on
good call.
taxes,
I
on his
hate
business record, and
ABC
especially in the
News.
midst of this pandemic, on healthcare, George.
And we saw Joe Biden release his tax returns today, Mary.
I don't know why I picked them up. I
Joe
shouldn't be
Biden
complaining
trying to get
because
ahead, trying to draw clear contrast, trying to set the tone for the debate to come. He did release
Thank
his tax
you.
returns
Oh my
today for
God,
last
thank
year,
you.
drawing a sharp contrast with the president.
already I feel so much better. It's look at it. The copyright. What am I drinking? Yeah, his cocaine. I hope they both take cocaine. I'm not gonna lie. I hope they're both jacked up out of their minds. That's what I hope. I'm drinking Seagram's V0 Canadian whiskey. Is it just me? Is there supposed to be? Is there supposed to be audio? Oh, wow.
Good evening from the Health Education Campus of Case Western Reserve University and the Cleveland Clinic.
Good evening.
I'm Chris Wallace of Fox News, and I welcome you to the first of the 2020 presidential debate.
The first.
Between President Donald J. Trump and former Vice
Call
President
before the
Joe
storm.
Biden. This debate is sponsored by the Commission on
Absolutely.
Presidential Debates. The commission has designed the format, 6 roughly 15-minute segments, with 2-minute answers from each candidate to the first question, then open discussion for the rest of each segment. Both campaigns have agreed to these rules.
Oh, he sniffs so
For the
much because of
record,
his
I decided
cocaine.
the topics and the questions in
Yeah.
each topic. I can assure you, none of the questions has been shared with the commission or the two candidates. This debate is being
Like that?
conducted under health and safety protocols designed by the Cleveland
Or something
Clinic,
like that. That's
which is
my
serving
impression
as the health security
of cocaine
advisor
sniffs.
to the commission for all 4 debates. As a precaution, both campaigns have agreed
No, but I'm
that
drinking
candidates
ginger
will not
turmeric
shake
tea
hands
from
at the
Rishi.
beginning of tonight's debate. The audience
With
here in the
whiskey.
hall has
It's
promised to
fucking
remain
good.
silent. No cheers, no boos or other interruptions, so we, and more importantly you,
No, there's
can
going to be
focus on what
booze.
the candidates
There's going to
have
be
say.
interruptions.
No noise except right now as we welcome the Republican nominee, President Trump, and the Democratic nominee,
All hail the
Vice
chief.
President Biden.
Oh. This is me. I'm putting this music in. This is not C-SPAN.
Gentlemen, a lot of people have been waiting for this night, so let's get going. Our first subject is the Supreme Court. President Trump, you nominated Amy Coney Barrett over the weekend to succeed the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg on
Rest in
the court.
peace.
You say the Constitution is clear about your obligation and the Senate's to consider a nominee to the court. Vice President Biden, you say that this is an effort by the president and Republicans
Yeah,
to jam
Chris
through
Wallace,
an
right?
appointment and what you call an abuse of power. My first question to both of you tonight: why are you right
Yep.
in the argument you make, and your opponent
Yep.
wrong? And
Absolutely.
where do you think a Justice
We have
Barrett
to laugh.
would take the court? President Trump, in this first segment, you go first. 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chris. I will tell you very simply, we won the election.
Oh, God. Don't play it
Elections
again.
have consequences. We have the Senate, we have the White House, and
turn it off.
we have a phenomenal nominee, respected by all, top academic, good in every way, In fact, some of her biggest endorsers are very liberal people from Notre
Right
Dame
to
and other
SCOTUS, right.
places. So I think she's going to be fantastic. We have plenty of time. Even if we did it after the election itself. I have a lot of time after the election, as you know. So I think that she will be outstanding. She's going to be
See, that's how you
as
market.
good as anybody
He's
that
so
has
good at
served on
that.
that court. We really feel that.
Just being inevitable.
Professor at
He-
Notre
everything
Dame,
is
highly
just
respected
inevitable.
by all, said she's
He
the
says it
single
so
greatest
confidently.
student he's ever had. He's been a professor
We have
for
plenty
a long
of time
in a
after.
great school. And we won the election, and therefore we have the right to choose her. And very few people knowingly would say otherwise. And by the way, the Democrats, they wouldn't even think about not doing it. If they
Everyone
had,
can-
the only
yeah,
difference is to
absolutely
try and do it
swear.
faster. There's no way they
Fucking
would
swear
give
all
it
you
up.
want, man.
They had Merrick Garland, but the problem is they didn't have the election, so they were stopped. And probably that would happen in reverse also. Definitely would happen in reverse. So we won the election, and we have the right to do it, Chris.
Yeah, so he's just
President Trump, thank you.
he's just like, yeah,
same
we did
question
it
to
and you
Vice
lost,
President
and so
Biden.
then
You
we
have
do what we
2
want.
minutes.
Well, first of
Why?
all,
Like, I feel like it's just a
thank
fucking.
you
That's
for
the way the
doing
game
this.
works, and the Democrats just
Before
fucking
this, Mr.
pretend like,
President,
oh no, we
American
can't do it.
have a right to have a say in who
I
the
don't know.
Supreme Court nominee is. And that say occurs when they vote for a United States senators and when they vote for the President of the United States. They're not going to get
Yeah, they
that
both have a
chance
similar
now because
tint,
we're in the
I'd
middle of
say.
an election already. The election has already
But
started.
Trump is
Tens of thousands
definitely
of people
more-
have already voted. And
he's
so the
got
thing
more
that should happen is
more
we
of a
should
de-
wait. We should wait
deeper
and see what the
orange.
outcome of this election is, because that's the only way the American people get to express their view is by who they elect as president and who
Yeah,
they
they do
elect as
match.
vice
Yeah,
president.
among.
Now, what's at stake here?
Oh,
is
so they must have the
president's
same
made
back.
clear he wants
Whoa.
to get rid of
Okay,
the
yeah, they
Affordable
both have the
Care
same
Act.
background.
He's been running on that. He ran on that, and he's been governing on that. He's in the Supreme Court right now trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which will strip 20 million people from having insurance, health insurance now, if it goes into court. And the
ACA.
justice, and I have nothing. I'm not opposed to the justice. She seems like a very fine person, but she's written before she went on the bench, which is her right, that she thinks that the Affordable Care Act
Oh
is not
yeah, good
constitutional.
call.
The
Good
other
call.
thing is
You're
on
right. The
court, and
temperature
if
is
it's
different.
Struck down, what happens?
I wonder if they're
Women's
different
rights are
cameras.
fundamentally changed. Once again,
Or are they? Or you think they're doing that on purpose based on the complexion of the person? Is that what you're saying?
Pregnancy. We're able to.
Are they-
were able to charge a woman more for the same exact procedure a man gets, and that ended when we, in fact, passed the Affordable Care
That's a
Act.
good call.
And there's 100 million people who have pre-existing conditions, and they'll be taken away as well. Those pre-existing conditions, the insurance companies are going to love this, and so it's just not appropriate to do this before
Honestly,
this election.
I'm not going to lie. I don't care if the ACA is gone, as long as it might make it easier to get Medicare for all. As long as we get Medicare for all.
There aren't 100 million people with pre-existing conditions. As far as the say is concerned, the people already had their say. Okay, Justice Ginsburg said very powerfully, very strongly, at some point, 10 years ago or so, she said a president and the Senate is elected for a period of time, but a president's elected for 4 years. We're not elected for 3 years. I'm not elected for 3 years. So we have the Senate, we have a president.
He's elected to the next
during
election.
that period of time,
What?
we have an opening. I'm not elected for 3 years. I'm elected for 4 years.
The
And the
election's
100
already
million
started.
people, Joe, the
What are
100
they
million
talking
people is
about?
totally wrong. I don't know where you got that number. The bigger problem that you have is that you're going to
Yeah, that's a good
extinguish
call, too.
180
Black and white?
million people with their
That's such a
private
weird
health
one.
care that they're very
That's
happy
simply
with.
not true.
Well, you're certainly
knows
going
that.
to socialist.
Go
You're
ahead.
going to socialist.
Now they're just
Now
talking
into-
about nothing,
we're now
dude.
into
They're
open
totally.
discussion.
Open discussion.
Open discussion. Yes, I agree. Go ahead, Vice President.
Number one,
Yeah, what?
he knows that what I proposed. What I proposed is that we
They
expand
said nothing.
Obamacare,
They literally
and
said
we
nothing
increase it. We
about
do not
the Supreme
wipe
Court.
and one of the big
Nothing,
debates we
just
had
like-
with 23 of my colleagues trying to win the nomination that I won were saying that Biden wanted to allow people to have private insurance still. They can. They do. They will under my proposal.
It's not what you've said,
But
and it's not what
that
your
is-
party has said.
that is simply
Your party
a lie.
doesn't
Yeah, but then
say-
they
your
just
party
started
wants to
bitching,
go
but they didn't even
socialist
talk about it.
My
medicine.
party is
You know what I mean?
socialist
Yeah, I know
right
that
now.
they did mention the
I am
1
the
year,
They're going to
but
dominate
Party.
you, Joe. You know that.
I am the Democratic Party right now. The platform of the
Not according
Democratic
to
Party
Harris.
is what I, in fact, approved of. What I approved of.
Okay, I need
Now,
a
here's the deal.
soundboard.
The deal is that
I
it's
have
going to
to.
wipe out pre-existing conditions. And by the way,
A Bernie Sanders soundboard.
The 200,000 people that have died on his watch. How many of those
Please,
have survived?
give me a good Bernie
Well, there's
Sanders
7 million
soundboard.
people that contracted COVID. What does it mean for them going forward if you strike down the Affordable Care Act? And
Joe, you've had
pre-existing conditions?
308,000 military people dying because you couldn't provide them proper health care in the military. So don't tell me
I'm
about
happy
that.
to talk about
And
this.
if you were here,
Look,
it
here's
wouldn't
the
be
deal.
200, it would be 2 million people because you were
I
very
am in
late
this
on the draw.
business
You didn't want me to ban
because
China,
I have
which
4
was
beautiful
heavily
kids, and
infected.
I have.
You didn't want me to ban
All right, gentlemen,
Europe, which
no,
was heavily
Mr. President,
You would have
Mr.
been much
President,
later, Joe.
Mr. President,
much later.
Mr. President,
You're talking about 2 million people.
You're
Mr.
not gonna be able to
President, as
shut
a
him up.
moderator,
I should be able to call.
we are going to talk about COVID in the next segment, but go ahead.
Let me.
Yeah,
finish.
that's such a
The point
such a
is that
nonsense
the president
like argument
also
though, and
is
Biden just like went
opposed
along
to
with
Roe
it.
v. Wade.
You know what I mean?
That's on the ballot as well in the court.
But that,
And
yeah,
so
you're right.
that's also at stake right now.
Yeah, George.
And so the election is all.
George
You don't know
Wallace
it's
is
on
a
the
fucking
ballot.
asshole.
Why is it in the ballot?
That's what shit talking. He's an
Because-
asshole. I'm gonna
Why
say
is
it.
it on the
Said
ballot? It's not
you're-
on the ballot.
It's on the ballot.
I don't know him,
I don't
but
think so.
In the court.
There's nothing happening there.
Donald, would you
And you
just be
don't
quiet
know
for a
her
minute?
view on Roe v. Wade. You
I
don't
don't
know her
know.
view.
Well, all right. Let's talk. We got a lot to unpack here, gentlemen. We got a lot of
Oh
time.
God, George Wallace.
On health care, and then we'll come back to Roe v. Wade.
All right.
Mr. President, the Supreme Court will hear a case a week after
Who's
the
supposed to-
election
how is he supposed to-
in which the Trump administration, along
George
with
or-
18 state attorneys general, are seeking to overturn
That's right.
Obamacare, to end Obamacare. You have spent the last...
Because they want to give good health care.
If I may ask my question, sir.
Good health care.
Over the last 4
healthcare.
years,
I
you
wanna
have
give them
promised
good.
to repeal and replace
for
Obamacare,
good
but you have
things.
never in these 4 years
And against
come up
bad
with
things.
a plan, a comprehensive plan
Yes, I
to
have.
replace Obamacare.
Of course I have.
No, he
Well,
hasn't.
I'll
I
give
got
you
rid
an
of
opp-
the
I'm gonna-
individual
when I finish,
mandate.
I'm going to give you an
Excuse
opportunity.
me. I got rid of the individual mandate, which was a
That is
big
not a
chunk of
comprehensive
Obamacare. That
plan.
is absolutely a big thing. That was
That-
the worst
I
part of
didn't ask,
Obamacare.
sir.
Chris,
You're
that was the
debating him,
worst
not
part of
me.
Obamacare.
Let me ask my
Well,
question.
I'll ask Joe.
I
The
no,
individual
I-
mandate was the
He's
most
taking over,
unpopular
dude.
aspect of
Mr.
Obamacare. I
President,
got rid of it.
I'd like you
and
to,
we will protect
Mr.
people
President,
with
I'm the
pre-existing
moderator of this
conditions.
debate, and I would like you to let me ask my question, and then you can answer your
Go ahead.
question. You, in the course of these 4 years, have never come up with a comprehensive plan to
Wow,
replace
dude.
Obamacare, and
That's
just
crazy.
this last Thursday, you signed a largely symbolic executive order to protect people with pre-existing conditions 5 days before this debate. So my question, sir, is what is the Trump health care plan?
Well, first of all, I guess I'm debating you, not him, but that's okay. I'm not surprised. Let me just tell you something, that there's nothing symbolic. I'm cutting drug prices. I'm going with favored nations, which no president has the
Sleep
courage
steak.
to do because you're going against Big Pharma.
Please save
Drug
us.
prices will be coming down 80 or 90%. You could have done it during your 47-year period
It's
in
just
government,
so
but you didn't
fucking
do it. Nobody's done it.
show.
we're
It's
cutting
like not
healthcare.
even.
All of the things
It's all
that we've done,
performance.
insulin.
They're not
I'll give you
even
an example.
fucking. They're just.
Insulin. It was destroying
It's.
families,
I
destroying
don't know,
people
man.
because
There's not
I'm
even
getting it for
plans.
so
They're not even
cheap.
talking about ideas.
It's
just like
water. You want to know?
just
the
right out of the
difference.
bat.
So cheap. Take a look at all of the drugs that what we're doing. Prescription
literally
drug
nothing.
prices. We're going to allow our governors now to go to other countries to buy drugs because they pay just a tiny fraction.
As I say,
of
this
what
is
we do.
open discussion.
No,
Let
but
me
this
ask
is
you about.
big.
Let me,
This
you'll
is
be
big
happy,
stuff.
sir. You'll be happy. I'm about to pick up on one of your points to ask the vice president.
You'll be
which is he
happy.
points out
We wanna make
that
you
You
happy.
would like to add a public option to Obamacare, and
Yes.
the argument that he makes and other Republicans make is
George
that that
Wallace.
is going to end private insurance.
It is
and
not.
well, if I can
sorry.
ask you
Now
that
he's the
question,
dude.
It will end.
Oh my God.
it
I
will
feel like
end
Trump
private
and
insurance
Biden
create
are
a
like
government
so
takeover
similar in a lot of
healthcare.
ways.
It does not. It's only for those people who are so poor they qualify for Medicaid. They can get that free in most states, except governors who want to deny people who are poor Medicaid. Anyone who qualifies for Medicare would, Medicaid would automatically be enrolled in the public option. The vast majority of the American people would still not be in that option. Number one.
Joe, you
Number
agreed
two.
with Bernie
That's his number one
Sanders
point,
far
that-
left on the manifesto.
Literally, his number one point is not
Socialized
everyone's going to get
medicine.
health care.
Hey, I'm
saying
not
you
going
didn't
to
agree?
listen to him. The fact of the matter
God.
is, I beat Bernie Sanders.
Not by much.
I beat him a whole hell of a lot. I'm here
much.
standing facing you, old buddy.
Pocahontas would have left
Well,
2
I
days
tell
early.
you,
You would have lost every primary.
All he knows how to
on
do is
Super Tuesday. You got
Look,
very lucky.
here's the deal. I got very lucky. I'm going to get very lucky tonight.
Every other major country on earth,
Sure.
every other major country on earth,
The
everyone.
fact is that everything he's saying so far is simply a lie. I'm not here to call
Everything
out his
he's
lies.
saying is a
Everybody
lie.
knows he's a liar.
But you
I just
agreed.
want to
Hey,
make
wait,
sure.
Joe, you're the liar.
I want to make sure.
Graduated last in your class, not first in your class.
I want to make
Mr.
sure.
President, can you let him finish, sir?
No, he doesn't know how to do that. He has,
You'd be
you know,
surprised.
you pick
You'd be surprised.
the
Go ahead,
wrong
Joe.
guy,
Go,
the
go,
wrong
Joe,
night at
go.
the wrong time.
Listen, you agreed with
Here's the
Bernie
deal.
Sanders to the
The
manifesto.
whole idea.
Let
Now you're
him.
disavowing it.
There is no manifesto.
Oh my
Please
God.
let him speak, Mr. President.
Number two.
You just lost the left.
Number two.
You
That's-
just lost the left. You agreed with Bernie Sanders
Wow.
on a plan.
Folks,
absolutely
folks,
agreed
do you
to,
have
and
any
under that
idea
plan,
what
you have
this clown is
socialized
doing?
He's right.
Medicare.
You have
That's what's crazy.
Socialized medicine.
Mr.
Well, I
President.
tell you what, he is not for any help for people needing health care because
Bernie?
because he in fact already has cost 10 million people their health care that they had from their employers because of his recession. Number one. Number two,
yeah.
there are 20 million people getting health care through Obamacare now that he wants to take it away. He won't ever look you in the eye and say
mean-
that's what he wants to do. Take it away.
No, I want to give
Number
them better
three.
health care at a
But-
much lower price
but-
because
and by the way,
Obamacare
he doesn't
is
know
no
how.
He has no
doesn't know
health
how
care
to do
plan.
that.
Already fixed it.
He has never
I've
offered.
already
That's what's
fixed
crazy
it to
about
an
this whole
extent.
thing.
He
He has
has
literally
never
nothing.
done a
Their
single
health care
thing.
plan is to
Probably does.
Gentlemen,
get rid of the thing that barely
you're
works,
at the same time.
and then his plan is
Let
like
the president
give
speak.
it,
Go ahead,
make
sir.
it a little bit
Obamacare
better.
is no good. We made it better, and I had a choice to make very early on. We took away the individual mandate. We guarantee pre-existing conditions, but took away the individual mandate. Listen, this is the way it is, and that destroyed. That they shouldn't even call it
Yeah, it's not
Obamacare.
true.
Then I had a choice to make. Do I let my people run it really well or badly? If I run it badly, they'll probably blame him, but they'll blame me. But more importantly, I want to help people, okay? I said, you got to run it so well.
That's what he's
And I
known for.
just had a meeting with them. They said, the problem is no matter how well you run Obamacare, it's a disaster. It's too expensive,
I got you.
premiums
I
are
got
too
it.
high, and
That's
it
what his
doesn't work.
people- that's what
So
his people
we
said.
do want to
No,
get
no,
rid of it.
it's
Chris,
an
we
open
want to get rid of it.
I
and
I just want
it's
Medicare
something
for all.
cheaper
I have to
and
give
better.
you roughly equal time.
Good.
Please let the vice president.
I actually have Medicaid, like he's talking
He has
about.
no plan for health care. Of
course we do.
Please.
He sends out wishful thinking. He has executive orders that have no power. He hasn't lowered drug costs for anybody. He's been promising a health care plan since he got elected. He has not.
Finally.
Like almost everything else
He's
he
saying
talks
something.
about. He does not have a plan. He doesn't have a plan. And the fact is, this man doesn't know what he's talking about.
All right.
He's
I have
against
one final question for you,
Sure.
Mr. Vice President. if Senate Republicans, we were talking originally about the Supreme Court here, if Senate Republicans go ahead and confirm Justice
funny.
Barrett,
We
there has
completely
been talk
ignored
about
such an
ending the
important part of our
filibuster
government.
or even packing the court, adding to the 9 justices there. You call this a distraction by the president, but in fact, it wasn't brought up by the president. It was brought up by some of your Democratic colleagues in the Congress. So my question to you is, you have refused in the past to talk about it. Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now. Vote and let your senators know how strongly you feel. Vote now.
Are you going to pack the
Make
court?
sure you, in fact, let people know.
I hope they pack
you're
the court.
senator. I'm not going to answer the question
Why
because
would you answer that
because
question?
the question
You want to
is
put a lot of
the
new
question
Supreme Court
is
justices,
the
radical
question.
left.
Will you
Who
shut
is
up,
on,
man?
listen, who is on your list, Joe?
This
Who's
is
on your
so
list?
right.
Gentlemen, I think
This
we've
is
ended,
so
Will you shut up,
Back
man?
to court.
we have,
I'm not going to give a list.
we have ended this segment. We're going to move
He
on
told
to
him
the
to
second
shut up
segment.
and then said that everything's not presidential.
Keep yapping, man.
The people understand, Joe.
They sure do.
47 years you've done nothing. They understand.
All right. The second subject is COVID-19, which is an awfully serious subject.
Damn,
so
dude.
let's try to be serious about it. We have had more than 7 million
Let's try to be
cases
serious
of
about it.
coronavirus in the United States, and more than 200,000 people have died. Even after we produce
These are the two
a
people.
vaccine, experts say that it could be
These are the two
months
people.
or even years before we come back to anything approaching
Keep
normal.
yapping, man.
My question for both
I mean-
of you is, based on what you have said and done so far and what you have said you would do starting in 2021,
keep
why should the
yapping, man.
American people trust
Is that the
you
meme that
more
comes
than
out?
your opponent to deal with this
I
public
will
health
not
crisis
shock
going
anybody
forward?
to suggest that in
case,
politics
the question
there is
goes to you
occasionally
first,
a little
sir.
bit of
2 minutes
hypocrisy,
uninterrupted.
just a little bit.
Good luck.
All over this country,
200,000 dead. As you said, over
Just a
7
little bit.
million infected in the United States. We, in fact, have 5%, 4% of the world's population, 20% of the deaths. 40,000 people a day are contracting COVID. In addition to that, about between 750 and 1,000 people a day are dying. When he was presented with that
Yeah,
number,
they're in
he
their
said,
70s,
"It is
pretty sure."
what it is. Well, it is what it is because you are who you are. That's why it is. The president
God.
has no plan. He hasn't laid out
That was such a
anything.
bad line,
He
I
knew
think.
all the way back
Maybe,
in
I don't know.
February
Some
how
people thought it was
serious
good.
this
I didn't like
crisis
it.
was. He knew it was a deadly disease. What did he do? He's on tape as acknowledging he knew it. He said he didn't tell us or give people a warning of it because he didn't want to panic the American people. You don't panic. He panicked. In addition to that, what did he do? He went in and we were insisting that the Chinese, the people we had on the ground in China should be able to go to Wuhan and determine for themselves how dangerous this was. He did not even ask Xi to do that. He told us what a great job Xi was doing. He said we owe him a debt of gratitude for being so transparent with us. And what did he do then? He then did nothing. He waited and waited and waited. He still doesn't have a plan. I laid out
Sir,
back
it's
in
his 2
March
minutes.
exactly what we should be doing. And I laid out again in July what we should be doing. We should be providing all the protective gear possible. We should be providing the money the House has passed in order to be able to go out and get people the help they need to keep their businesses open schools.
The House didn't give money to the local and state governments.
And get out of the sand trap and get in your golf course and go in the Oval Office and bring together the Democrats
Nancy
and
Pelosi didn't do
Republicans
that.
and fund what needs to be done now to save lives.
So if we would have listened to you.
You have 2 minutes, sir.
If we would have listened to you, the country would have been left wide open. Millions of people would have died, not 200,000. And one person is too much. It's China's fault. It should have never happened. They stopped it from going in, but it was China's fault. And by the way, when you talk about numbers, you don't know how many people died in China. You don't know how many people died in Russia. You don't know how many people died in India. They don't exactly give you a straight count, just so you understand. But if you look at what we've done, I closed it, and you said he's xenophobic. He's a racist, and he's xenophobic because you didn't think I should have closed our country.
Wait a minute. It's his 2 minutes.
You didn't think we should have closed our country because you thought it was terrible. You wouldn't have closed it for another 2 months. By my doing it early, in fact, Dr. Fauci said, President Trump saved thousands of lives. Many of your Democrat governors said, President Trump did a phenomenal job. We worked with the governor. Oh, really? Go take a look. The governors said I did a phenomenal job. Most of them said that. In fact, people that would not be necessarily on my side said that. President Trump did a phenomenal job. We did. We got the gowns. We got the masks. We made the ventilators. You wouldn't have made ventilators. And now we're weeks away from a vaccine. We're doing therapeutics already. Fewer people are dying when they get sick. Far fewer people are dying. We've done a great job. The only thing I haven't done a good job, and that's because of the fake news. No matter what you say to them,
I don't think he did a phenomenal job.
It's just fake news. They give you good press.
I would say no.
They give me bad press because that's the way it is, unfortunately.
I would
Let
say
me just tell you something. I don't care.
not
I've gotten used to it.
a phenomenal
But I'll tell you,
job,
Joe, you could never have done
specifically.
the job that we did. You don't have it in your blood. You could have never done that.
I think
job.
they did a terrible job.
I know how to do the job. I know how to get the job
Well, you didn't do
done.
very well in swine flu. H1N1, you were a disaster. Your own chief of staff said you were a disaster.
14,000 people died, not 200,000. There was
A
no
very-
economic recession.
Sir, you made a
There was
wait, no,
less
there was no
lethal
recession.
disease,
you made
by
a
the way.
point. Let him answer.
And there was no one. We didn't shut down the economy. This is
You
his
wouldn't have done
economy.
the ventilators,
He
yeah.
shut down. The
You
reason
wouldn't
it
have
shut
known to
down
do
is
that.
because-
You wouldn't
Look,
even sent them.
you folks at home,
I
how many of you
sent
get up
them.
this morning and had an empty
I sent the
chair at the kitchen
ventilators.
table because someone died.
A lot of
of
people
COVID?
wouldn't have thought of that. You sent
How many
that
of
you
you
sent
were in a
ventilators,
situation where
but
you
I did.
lost your mom or dad, and you couldn't even speak to them? You had a nurse holding a phone up so you could, in fact, say goodbye.
You would have lost far
How
more
many
people.
That
Far
is-
more people.
And,
You would have been
and by the way,
months late.
your own,
You were
his
months behind me,
his
Joe.
own CDC director says we could lose as many as another.
See, Trump is like,
200,000 people
Trump's
between now
busting
and
out
end of
the
year.
like
And he held up and
pro
said, if we
wrestling
just wear
type
a
shit.
mask,
You know
we
what I
can
mean?
save half those numbers.
People are
just
all
a mask.
programmed for that.
And by the way, in terms
Everyone
of
wants the person who's like,
whole
oh, well, it looks
notion
like
of a
that guy's,
vaccine,
he knows what
we're
he's
for a
talking about.
vaccine, but I don't trust him at all, nor do you. I know you don't. What we trust is a scientist.
You don't
we
trust
Dr.
Johnson
Fauci.
& Johnson, Pfizer?
And
Okay,
by the
No,
way,
gentlemen,
I
and
don't
then
trust
let
them.
me move on to questions about the future, because you both have touched on one of the two of the questions
the
I'm
Russian
gonna ask.
ventilators, right?
Focusing on the future first, President Trump, you have repeatedly either contradicted or been at odds with some of your government's own top scientists. The week before last, the head of the Centers for Disease Control, Dr. Redfield, said it would be summer before the vaccine would become generally available to the public. You said that he was confused and mistaken.
I did
Those were your
a,
two words.
I did a town
Dr.
meeting
Slawi,
in
the
George
head of
Mason
your
University.
Operation Warp Speed has said exactly the same thing. Are
This
they
isn't a
both
very
wrong?
good
Well, I've spoken
soundboard.
to the companies, and we can have it a lot sooner. It's a very political thing because people like this would rather make it political than save lives. It is a very political thing. I've spoken to Pfizer. I've spoken to all of the people that you have to speak to. We have great Moderna,
All the corporate, all the
Johnson &
biggest,
Johnson, and
all the
others.
giant
They
megalithic
can go faster than
corporations.
that by a lot.
Whatever, you got to listen to
Become
them.
very political.
Whatever they
because
say.
The left, or I don't know.
They're the
we'll call
people
it
to
your
listen
left,
to.
I don't know
That
what I
the
call it.
head of your Operation Warp Speed, Dr. Slawi?
I disagree with him. Yeah, no, I disagree.
Yeah,
with
dude,
both of them.
this
And he
whole
didn't say
thing is
that. He said it
hypotheticals.
could
They're
be
just,
there, but it
they've
could also
literally
be a
talking about
Martian. I had him in
nothing.
my
Like,
office 2 days ago.
He talked about the
They're-
summer, sir, before it's
this
generally
is
available.
this is
But
no
He said it's a
substance. They haven't even.
possibility that we'll have the answer before November 1st. It could also
I'm
be
talking about
after
when it's
that.
generally available, not when it
Well,
will
we're
be.
going to deliver it right away. We have the military
It's very
all set up
political.
logistically. They're all set up. We have our military that delivers soldiers, and they can
Very
do 200,000 a day.
political.
They're going to be
This is
delivering.
Oh, here we
the
go.
same
This is a
man
much
It's
better.
all
told
set
you
up.
By Easter, this would be gone away. By the warm weather, it'd be gone.
I watched Hillary last night with we're going to give this, we're going to give that, we're going to give.
Bleach in your
That's
arm.
not a
That would take
Bernie
care of it.
Sanders
This
soundboard.
is the
That
same
was
man.
said sarcastically,
That was
you
him.
know that.
I-
That was said sarcastically.
And so here's the deal. This man is talking about a vaccine.
I know you stayed last night at the papal residence, so
A serious company is talking
This isn't
about
a real soundboard.
maybe having a vaccine done by the end of the year. But the distribution of that vaccine will not occur until sometime beginning or the middle of next year to get it out, if we get the vaccine. And pray God we will. Pray God
Teddy
we will.
Vice President, I
Roosevelt,
want to pick up
You'll have
on
the
that.
vaccine
I
soon.
want to pick up on this
Republican
question, though. You
trustbuster,
say the public
were alive
can trust the
today,
scientists, but
he
they
would
can't trust
say,
President Trump. In fact, you
"Rate
said that
them
again tonight.
up,"
Your running
and he
mate,
would
Senator
be
Harris,
right.
goes further, saying the public health experts, quote, will be
Within
measured,
1
will
year,
be suppressed.
my
Given the
administration-
fact that polls already show that
man.
people are
That's just
concerned about the
sad.
vaccine and are reluctant to take it, are you and your running mate, Senator Harris, contributing to that fear?
No more than the question you just asked him. You pointed out. He puts pressure and disagrees with his own scientists.
But you're saying
Everybody
you can't, or
knows.
Senator
And-
Harris is saying you can't trust the science.
No, well,
Okay.
no, you can trust the scientists.
Okay.
She didn't say that. You can't
She,
trust
she said the public health
Did say
experts,
that.
quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed.
Well, that's what he's going to try to do. But
Okay.
there's millions of scientists.
Okay.
There's thousands of scientists out there, like here at this great hospital, that don't work for him. Their job doesn't depend on him. That's not. They're the people.
I don't know, man. I feel like there are people who can call him out on his bullshit. I feel like there are people that could would fare well because they'd actually have things to talk about instead of like
relating to COVID. He still hasn't even acknowledged that
Joe Biden is playing his game. He's trying to play his game. Like, and that's what makes him look like a fool. Like, because he's just going down. I don't know.
He panicked, or
like,
he just looked at the stock
see, look,
market.
all he's
One of the
doing is
two,
talking
because
shit
guess
about
what?
Joe
A
Biden.
lot of people
Or sorry,
die.
about
A lot
about
more
Donald
die
Trump.
unless he gets a lot
Like,
smarter, a lot quicker.
Mr.
like,
President?
let's just say there was some, a certain candidate,
So you said you
other
went to
candidate,
Delaware
Jewish
State, but you
senator or
forgot the name
something,
of your
was
college.
there. All he would
You
do was
go to
talk about his
Delaware State. You
policies.
graduated
That's all he would do.
either the lowest or
I'm
almost
sure he
the
would talk a
lowest
little
in
shit
your class.
about
Don't
Trump
ever use
here
the
and
word
there if you
smart
got
with
to.
me.
But
Don't
like
ever use
with
that
Trump,
word.
I don't
Give me
know.
a break.
Because you know
Of
what?
course it would be a
There's nothing
disaster,
smart
'cause
about
it-
you, Joe.
but-
47 years.
you know
you've
what
done
you know what I
nothing.
mean. Like,
And if you would have had, let me just tell you something, Joe.
No,
If you would have had the charge of what I was put through, I had to close the greatest economy in the history of our country. And by the way, now it's being built again.
see,
and
he-
it's
We're going to
going
get
up
to the
fast.
economy in the next segment, sir.
Okay.
It's going up fast.
Okay.
Look forward to talking.
When it comes to how the virus has been handled so far, the two of you have taken very different approaches, and this is going to affect how the virus is handled going forward by whichever of you ends up becoming the next president. I want to quickly go through several of those. Reopening.
It's a disaster.
Vice President Biden, you have been much more reluctant than
disaster.
President Trump
Disaster.
about reopening the economy and schools. Why, sir?
Because he doesn't have a plan. If I were running, I know what the plan is. You've got to provide these businesses the.
If I were
ability to have the
running,
money
I would
to
know
be
what
able
the
to
plan
reopen
is.
with the
Is that what he
PPE,
said?
As well as with the sanitation they need. You have to
Tell
provide
that
them
to Nancy
plastic.
Pelosi.
Well, he's just shush for a minute.
Tell it to Nancy Pelosi. And Schumer,
by the
Brian
way,
Chuck.
Nancy Pelosi and Schumer, they have a plan. He won't even meet with them. The Republicans won't meet with him in the Senate. And he sits on his golf course.
He sits on a throne of lies.
Literally, think about it.
You probably play
think
more than
about
I
it.
do, Joe.
What about this question of reopenings and the fact?
Well, he wants to shut down this country, and I want to keep it open. And we did a great
he
thing
just
by
admitted
shutting
he
it
shut
down.
it down.
Wait a minute,
Let
Joe.
him
Let me
finish,
shut
sir.
you down for a second, Joe, just for 1 second. We want to. He wants to
Interesting.
shut down the country. We just went through it. We had to because we didn't know anything about the disease. Now we found that elderly people with heart problems and diabetes and different problems are very, very vulnerable. We learned a lot. Young children aren't. Even
Young
younger
children
people
aren't.
aren't. We've learned a lot. But he wants to shut it down. More people will be hurt. By continuing. If you look at Pennsylvania, if you look at certain states that have been shut down, they have Democrat governors all. One of the reasons they're shut down is because they want to keep it shut down until after the election, November
I want to
3rd.
move on to another
Because
subject.
it's a
I want to
political.
move on to another subject.
But those states
to
are
another
not
subject.
doing well that are shut down
Which is
right
gotta
now.
respond to that.
Once
President
they shut
Trump,
down the
you
whole
have begun to increasingly question the effectiveness of masks.
I don't
as a
think that's how we
disease
got here,
preventer.
personally.
And in fact, recently you have cited the issue of waiters touching their masks and touching plates. Are you questioning
No, I think
the
masks
efficacy
are
of,
okay.
of
You have to
masks?
understand, if you look, I mean, I have a
We have
mask
a
right
first
here.
past the post voting
Mask
system.
on it, you know, when I think
So
I
it's
need
like
it. Tonight,
the winner
as an
take all.
example, everybody's had a test, and you've had
So
social distancing.
It ends
and
up
all of the
doing
things that
just
you
a
have to do.
duopoly.
I wear masks
And there's been a
when
long
needed.
history of
When
America of
needed, I wear
duopolies. There's
masks.
Okay,
of a
let me ask you.
duopoly,
I don't
but
have-
there's
I
been a
don't
couple
wear masks
periods
like
where
him.
there's
Every
been
time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking.
where there's
200
been
feet away
shifts
from
in
me. He
parties,
shows up with the
especially
biggest
early
mask
on
I've
before the
ever
Civil
seen.
War. There was
I
a
will
bunch
say-
of new parties
I
that
will
formed,
say-
but
President
they
Biden,
all
go ahead, sir.
they all ended up
Look,
doing like a
weight-open
duopoly.
businesses is given the
Essentially,
wherewithal to be
one
able
would
to
rise, one would fall, but another
provided
one would just take
money
its place in a
and
different
I was
name,
asking
and
you,
then
sir,
there
about
would be
masks.
shifting of
Well, masks
demographics
makes a
and
big
stuff
difference.
throughout
His
history.
own
But
head of CDC
like,
said if we just wore masks
there's been some
between
significant
now-
third-party
if everyone wore
candidates
masks and social distance between
that
now and
actually,
January,
you know, they
we'd
make
probably
they
save
make
up to
they have. It's
100,000
not like they have no
lives.
purpose.
It matters.
They do
And they've
affect
also
elections, elections, but I don't know. I'm for third parties. I voted a lot of third party in my life, but
Dr. Fauci said the opposite.
it depends. Sometimes they're viable and sometimes they're not, and it's hard. It's hard to know.
I'm okay with masks. I'm not fighting masks.
But I wouldn't say that's what got us here. I think corruption
is
probably more just blatant corruption and ignorance.
With crowds packed together, thousands of people. Outside, yes, sir. Vice President Biden, you are holding much smaller events with
nobody will show up.
People with
What's true? Nobody shows up to his rally.
In any case, why you holding the big rallies?
That's so true.
Why you not? You go first, sir.
Because people want to hear what I have to say. I mean,
but are you not
done
worried
a great
about
job as a
disease?
president, and I'll have 35,000 people show up at airports. We use airports.
Are you not worried about
we
the
have
disease
a lot of
issues,
people.
sir?
Well, so far we have had no problem whatsoever. It's outside. That's a big difference, according to the experts. We do them outside. We have tremendous crowds, as you see. I mean, and literally on 24 hours' notice. And Joe does the circles and has 3 people someplace.
Okay.
By the way, did you
Yeah,
see one of the
I mean,
last
it could
rallies
potentially
you
help
had,
Trump, but
and a reporter came up to him to ask him a
45%
question.
of
He said, "No, no,
Americans
no.
don't even fucking
Stand
vote.
back. Put
So
on your mask. Put on a mask.
I guess
You've been tested.
I don't know.
I'm way far away from
I
those
mean,
other people.
like people
But
talk
that's what
shit
he said.
about people
I can't-
voting, but
I'm
like
gonna be
people should
okay.
vote.
He's
And
not
you,
worried
I don't
about
know.
you.
I hate
He's not
voter
worried about the
shaming
people out
a
there
lot.
breathing in
I
one
just
room.
feel like
No negative effect.
No negative effect.
not even half
no
of
negative
Americans even
effect.
vote.
We've had
So like
35,
vote whoever the
45
fuck you
people
want,
wanna
because
do this.
please vote.
Just quickly finish up because I want to move on.
That's
to
how
our
I
next-
feel.
Yes, I would. He's been totally irresponsible the way in which he has handled the social distancing and people wearing masks.
All right, it's
basically encourage them not
too
to.
up tempo.
All
Don't
right,
you
then
think?
he's a fool on this.
If you could get the crowds, you would have done the same thing. But you can't. Nobody cares.
Gentlemen, can we move on to the
Nobody cares.
gentlemen? Can we move on to the economy?
Yes.
The economy is, I think it's fair to say, recovering faster than expected from the shutdown.
Oh, yeah?
In the second quarter, the unemployment rate fell to 8.4% last month. The Federal
Sure,
Reserve
yeah. Oh,
says
everything's
the
back to
hit
normal.
To growth, which is going to be there, is not going to be nearly as big as they had expected. President Trump, you say we are in a V-shaped recovery. Vice President Biden, you say it's more of a K-shape. What difference does that mean to the American people in terms of the economy? President Trump, in this segment, you go first.
You think it's a
So we built
God
the greatest
damn,
economy
dude.
in history. We closed
This is
it
so
down because of
stupid.
the China plague. When the plague came in, we closed it down, which was very hard psychologically to
2016,
do.
there's
He
a lot
didn't
of
think
people
we should
that
close it down, and he
opted
was
to
wrong.
Green and Libertarian
again,
because they
2
wanted
million people
those
would be
people to
dead
win,
now,
which
instead
is
of
how it should be able to
still
be. But
204,000
if those people
is
had
too
gone
much
for
one
Hillary, we
person
wouldn't
is
be
too much.
here.
Should have never happened
Is that
from
true?
China. But what happened is we closed it down, and now we're reopening, and we're doing record business.
I heard
we
that,
had
but
10.4 million people in a 4-month period.
I think that
we
happens,
put
like,
back into
every-
the workforce. That's a record.
I'm
the
pretty
likes
sure
of
the
which
same thing
nobody's ever seen before.
happened with
And he
Obama
wants to
and
close
McCain,
down
right?
he will shut it down again.
But
He will
Obama
destroy
still
this
won
country.
'cause he could
a lot of
get more people.
between drugs
I don't know.
and alcohol and depression. When you
I
start
feel like-
shutting it down, you take a look at what's happening at some
I
of
feel
your
like
Democrat-run states. Where
it's
they
up
have
to the
these
politician,
tough
not the
shutdowns.
voter.
And
You
I'm
know what I
telling
mean?
you, it's because they don't want
I
to
feel
open
like
it. One of them
the
came
way
out
that I look
last
at it
week,
is
you saw that.
if a
But we're gonna
person
open up
lost,
on
they
November 9th.
didn't
Why
get enough
November 9th?
votes.
Because it's after the election.
You know what I
They're
mean?
hurting
It's
us
not up to the
by
voter.
keeping them closed.
That's what's so
They're
fucked
hurting
up about
people.
this shit.
People know what to do. They can
Yeah,
social
and there's the
distance,
Electoral
they can
College,
wash their
and
hands,
there's-
they can wear
it's like-
masks. They can do whatever
I don't
they
know.
want.
I feel like
We
it's
gotta
up to the
open these
the
states up.
onus should be
When
on
you
the
look at
politician to
North
get the
Carolina,
vote.
When you look and
personally.
these governors are under siege.
Like,
Pennsylvania, Michigan,
people
and a
should be
couple of
encouraged
others.
as much as
We gotta
possible.
open these
I heard
states up. It's
that
not fair.
more
You're
people
talking about
that
almost
voted
it's like
for
being in prison. And you
Hillary
look at what's going
in the
on with
primary
divorce.
voted
Look
for
at what's going
McCain
on with alcoholism
than
and drugs.
people who
It's a
voted
very,
for-
very sad
for
thing. And he'll close
Bernie
down the whole
voted
country.
for
This guy will close down the whole country
Trump.
and
You
destroy
know what I mean?
our country.
Like
our country is coming
it's-
back
it's very-
incredibly well, setting records as it does it. We don't need somebody to come in and say,
And
let's
again,
shut it
45%
All
of
right.
people don't even
Your 2
vote.
minutes, sir. We're now moving to you.
45. I mean,
As
it's been
as
from
said,
45 to
posing the
50% in
question,
the last
president says
like
it's a
5 or
V-shaped
6
recovery.
elections.
You say it's a K-shape.
I just feel like
recovery.
that is
What's
just
the
a
difference?
drastic
Difference
number
is
that is so fucked up.
Millionaires and billionaires like him
that
in the middle of the COVID crisis
I feel like
have done very well.
any discussion over
Billionaires
2%
have
here or
raised-
3%
made
there
over
is like
$300 billion because
it's
of his
important, of
profligate
course, because
tax
these parties, but like ultimately,
proposal, and he only focused on the market.
ultimately, the
But you
Green
folks at
Party,
home,
like
you
without the
folks
Green
living
Party,
in
we wouldn't have the
Scranton,
Green New
Claymont, and
Deal.
all the small
with the
towns and
Democrats.
working class
Like
towns in America.
Jill Stein ran on that
What are you
shit.
doing? This guy
And the
paid
Green
a
Party
total
was
of
there, and now it's like
$750
a staple for
tax cuts.
progressives. So like that's
There is
important.
two- Yeah, I understand. You've agreed to the 2 minutes.
Yeah, like
so
and
please let him
Milwaukee
finish.
was run by the Socialist
Fact
Party,
is
a
that
third party,
he
like
has, in fact,
for a while.
worked on this in a way that he's going to be the
Eugene
first president of
Debs.
the United States
You ever heard of Eugene
to
Debs?
leave office, having
That
fewer
motherfucker,
jobs
like
in his administration
third parties
than when he
have a
became
real
president.
role. You should
Fewer
look up
jobs
Eugene Debs.
than when he
That
became
dude's
president. First
insane.
one in
Like
American
American
history.
hero.
Secondly, the people who have lost their jobs are those people who have been on the front lines, those people who have been saving our lives, those people who have been out there dying, people who've been putting themselves in the way to make sure that we could all try to make it. And the idea that he is insisting that we go forward and open when you have almost half the states in America with a significant increase in COVID deaths and COVID cases in the United States of America. And he wants to open it up more. Why does he want to open it up? Why doesn't he take care of the American? You can't fix the economy until you fix the COVID crisis. And he has no intention of doing anything
No, I
about
know.
making it
I'm
better
just
for you
I'm just
all
talking
at
shit.
home in terms of your health and your safety. Schools. Why aren't schools open? Because it costs a lot of money to open them safely. You know, they were going to give, his administration was going to give the teachers and school students masks. And then they decided, no, couldn't
I
do
think it
that
would be
because it's
different if
not
there's a third
national
candidate in
emergency.
this debate.
Not a national emergency.
100%.
They've done nothing to help small businesses.
There should be the Libertarian
Nothing.
and
They're
the
closing. 1 in 6 is
and
now
the Green
gone.
Party person in
He
this
ought to
debate.
get
You know, I don't
on
know.
the job and take care of the needs of the American people so we
In
can
maybe
open
previous
safely.
elections,
Your
maybe there
time is
would
up,
be.
sir. We are going to get to.
I
we're
have
gonna-
to
But
respond to that.
yeah, it's like
you
a
both
chicken or
have
an
2
egg
minutes,
thing.
sir.
It's like
Excuse me, he made a statement.
So did you.
People want their schools, people want their schools open. They don't want to be shut down. They don't want their state shut down. They want their restaurants. I look at New York. It's so sad what's happening in New York. It's almost like a ghost town. And I'm not sure it can ever recover what they've done in New York. People want their places open. They want to get back to their lives.
People
They'll
want
be
to be
careful,
safe.
but they want their schools open.
People want
I'm
to
the
be
one that
safe.
brought back football. By the way, I brought back Big Ten football. It was me, and I'm very happy to do it. And
All right,
the people of Ohio are very proud of me. And you know
We're
how
going
I
to get
found
back.
out? When he took the
Gentlemen,
phony
we're going to
ad.
get to your economic plans going forward in a moment. But first, Mr.
this
President.
is really sad.
As you well know, there's a new report that in 2016, the year you were elected president, and 2017, your first year as president, that you paid $750 a year in
$750.
federal income
There we go.
tax each of those years. I know that you
Ranked
pay
choice voting,
a
that's
lot of
fucking
other
right.
taxes, but I'm asking you the specific
Gimp
question.
Gamers in
Is
here.
it true that you paid $750 in federal income taxes each of those 2 years?
I paid millions of dollars in taxes, millions of dollars of income tax. And let me just tell you, there
Is
was a
that
story in
that's
one
true?
of the papers.
Show us your tax
I paid $38 million one year. I paid $27 million
Show us your tax
one year.
returns.
I went, you'll see it as soon as it's finished. You'll see it. You know, if you want to do, go to the Board of Elections. There's a 118-page or so report that says everything I have, every bank I have, I'm totally under-leveraged because the assets are extremely good. And we have a very, I built
Sir,
a great
I'm asking you a
company.
specific question, which
But
is.
let me tell you.
I understand all of that.
Release your
I
tax
understand all of
return.
that.
But let
No, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
I'm asking you a question. Will you tell us how much you paid in federal income taxes in 2016 and 2017?
Millions of dollars.
You paid millions of dollars?
Millions of dollars.
So
yes.
not 750.
Millions of dollars, and you'll get to see it. And you'll get to
When?
see it. But let me just tell
Inshallah?
you, Chris, let me just tell you
What'd he
something.
say?
That it was the tax laws. I don't
Inshallah?
want to pay tax. Before I came here, I was a private
Yeah, he
developer.
totally
I
brought
was a
back
private
football.
business people. Like every other private person, unless they're stupid, they go through the laws, and that's what it is. He passed a tax bill.
Yeah, that'd be nice to
that
have a
gave us all
candidate
these
without rape
privileges
allegations.
For depreciation and for tax credits. We built a building and we get tax credits like the hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue. You get a massive, which, by the way, was given to me by the Obama administration, if you can believe that. Now, the man got fired right after that happened. But
Vice
that's
President Biden, you want to respond?
Yeah, I do want to respond. Look, the tax code that made him, put him in a position that he pays less tax than a school teacher makes, on the money a school teacher makes, is because of him he says he's smart because he can take advantage of the tax code. And he does take advantage of the tax code. That's why I'm going to eliminate the Trump tax cuts. And I'm going to eliminate those tax cuts. and make sure that we invest in the people
I'll run
who
for president.
need the help. People out there need help.
But why didn't you do it over the last 25 years?
Because you were president. Because you
I'll do
were
it.
president
I'll do it.
screwing things up.
You were a senator, and
You're
by
the
way,
worst
you were a
president
vice-
America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
let me just tell you, Joe. I've done more in 47 months. I've done more than you've done in 47 years, Joe. We've done things that you never even thought of doing, including
Chairman of
fixing
board.
the broken military that you gave me, including taking care
We're
of your
talking,
vets.
Mr. President, we're talking about the economy. I'd like to ask you about your plans going forward.
The chairman of the board?
Mr. Vice President,
Hell
your
yeah.
economic plan. If you were
I don't think I'd
elected
run for
president,
in
focuses
politics.
a lot on big government, big
At least not-
taxes, big
at least not
spending.
right
You
now.
wanna Focus first on the taxes.
That wouldn't make any sense.
You propose more than
I feel like you need a
$4
shit ton of money.
trillion over a decade in new taxes on individuals making more than $400,000 a year and on corporations. President Trump says that that kind of an increase in taxes is going to hurt the economy as it's just coming out of a recession.
Well, just take a look at what is the analysis done by Wall Street firms. Points out that my economic plan would create 7 million more jobs than his in 4 years, number one. And number two, it would create an additional $1 trillion in economic growth because it would be about buying American. That we're going to make this federal government spend $600 billion a year on everything from ships to steel to buildings and the like. And under my proposal, we're going to make sure that every penny of that has to be made by a company.
But respectfully, sir, I'm talking about taxes, not spending.
By the way, I'm going to eliminate a significant number of the
I
taxes.
feel like
I'm gonna make
this music
corporate tax
makes it feel a little
28%,
nicer.
it'll be
I don't know. What do you guys think?
You have 91 companies, in the Fortune 500 who don't pay a single penny in tax, making
That's fucking right, Leo.
Why didn't you do it
billions of
before? You were vice
because
Obama.
because you in fact passed that.
Yes,
That was
they
your
took the
guy-
presidential debate, but Smoky Water Studios made it into the Twitch stream.
The economy is busted.
President,
Let me finish.
let me pick up on
The Gotham
You
Asylum.
would continue your free market approach.
Never know what could
lower
happen on the other end of that.
taxes or deregulation, correct?
Not lower taxes on American people.
But in Obama's, you talk about the economy booming. It turns out that in Obama's final 3 years as president, more jobs were created, 1.5 million more jobs than in the first 3 years of your presidency.
They had the slowest recovery economic recovery since 1929. It was the slowest recovery. Also, they took over something that was down here. All you had to do is turn on the lights and you pick up a lot. But they had the slowest economic recovery since 1929. Let me tell you about the stock market. When the stock market goes up, that means jobs. It also means 401ks. My taxes, I'll tell you what, you'll lose half of the companies that have poured in here will leave, and plenty of companies that are already here, they'll leave for other places. They will leave, and you will have a depression, the likes of which you've never seen.
Look, we inherited the worst recession short of a depression in American history. I was asked to bring it back. We were able to have an economic recovery that created the jobs you're talking about. We handed him a booming economy. He blew it.
It wasn't
He blew
booming.
it. He
It
blew it.
wasn't booming. It was
Coming to the Twitch
weakest
stream.
Well, sir,
recovery
is it
since
fair to, is it fair to say he blew it when, in fact, when there was record low unemployment?
Coming to the
before
Twitch
Yeah,
stream.
because what he did, even before COVID, manufacturing went in the hole. Manufacturing went in the hole.
Excuse
number
me,
one.
Chris, wait.
Number two.
Chris,
number three.
They said it would take. No, you're number two.
No.
Number
Chris,
two.
Chris, they said it would
This
take
guy.
a miracle to bring back manufacturing. I brought back 700,000 jobs. They brought back nothing. They gave up on manufacturing.
We
Part
did
of my
not agree.
standard fare.
I'm the guy
He
that brought
totally
back
gave
the
up on
automobile
manufacturing.
industry.
Let him
We brought back, I was asked to bring back Chrysler and General Motors. We brought them back right here in the state of Ohio and Michigan. He blew it. They're gone. He blew it. And in fact, they're going.
Ohio had the best year it's ever had last year. Michigan had the best year they've ever had.
That is not
Many
true.
car companies came in from Germany, from
Not-
Japan, went to Michigan, went to
They're
Ohio.
not happening.
And they didn't come in with you.
Mr. Vice President, go ahead.
And so you take a look at what he's actually done. He's done very
What you might need to do is
Trade
capture.
deals are the same
I need to
way.
capture the
He
sound
talks
of the
about these
debate,
great
right?
trade deals. You know, he talks about the art of the deal. China's perfected the art of the steal. We have a higher deficit with China now than we did before. We have the highest trade deficit
China
with
ate
Mexico.
your lunch, down 18%. China ate your lunch, Joe.
Walking on
and no
clouds,
wonder
huh?
your son goes in and he takes out billions of dollars. Takes out billions of dollars to manage. He makes millions of dollars. And also, while we're at it, why is it, just out of curiosity, the mayor of Moscow's wife gave your son $3.5 million. What did he do to deserve it? What did he do?
What did he do?
To deserve $183,000?
None of that is true.
Oh, really?
Totally,
But no, Mr. President,
it's totally,
President, please.
totally discredited. Totally discredited. And by the way,
Well, wait, he didn't get $3.5 million, Joe?
Mr. Vice
He got
President, Mr.
$3.5
President,
million.
that is not true.
Oh, really?
Mr. President, it's an open discussion, please.
It's a fact.
Well, you have raised an issue. Let the Vice President answer.
Discredited.
There was a rate of $183,000 a month with no experience in energy.
Mr.
Look,
President,
my son did nothing wrong.
I think he did.
Mr. President, let him answer.
He doesn't want to let me answer because he knows I have the truth. His position has been totally, thoroughly discredited. And you
The
can,
media.
by everybody. Well, by the media, by our allies, by the World Bank, by everyone that's discredited. Matter of fact, even
Mr.
the
President,
people who
please stop.
testified under oath.
So let me ask you this.
No, go ahead, Mr. I'm listening to you.
People under,
He got $3.5 million from
testified,
Moscow.
he testified under oath in his administration, said, I did my job and I did it very well. I
really?
did it
I'd like to know who
honorably.
they are.
Well, I'll give you the list of the people who testified.
No, go ahead, sir.
Sure, you've already fired most of them because they did a good job.
Some people don't do
Well,
a good
here's
job.
the,
With you, that
Wait a minute, you get the final word.
well, it's hard to get anywhere in with this clown. Excuse me, this
Hey, let me just say, Joe.
No, I'm Mr. President. I'm
$3.5
Mr.
million,
President.
Joe.
He just called him a clown.
Why did he deserve $3.5 million from Moscow?
Look, here's the deal. We want to talk about families and ethics. I don't want to do that. I mean, his family we could talk about all night. His family's already
My family lost a fortune by coming down and helping us with government.
And that's such a,
They're right here.
that's such
Every
a great.
single one of them lost
This
a
is not about my family or his family. It's about your family.
They
The
didn't
American
want
people.
$3.5 million.
He doesn't. That's not true. It doesn't want to talk about what you need. You, the American people. It's about you. That's what we're talking about.
All right,
Not
that's
about you.
the end of the segment. We're moving on.
He didn't take that.
Vice President, no.
Can I be honest? It's a very important
Try to be
question.
honest.
No,
He stood up.
No,
He stood up
the answer to
and
the
he
question is
threatened
no.
Ukraine
No, sir.
with $1 billion if you
That
didn't
is
You know what? You're
absolutely
stop.
not true.
You're
doing it.
You're going to
Not
have
true.
gentlemen.
It's all pointless, man.
Why should I be different than the two of you? So here's the deal. We have 6 segments.
That's a good point.
At the end of that segment, we're going to go to the next segment. In that segment, you each are going to have 2 uninterrupted moments. In those 2 uninterrupted minutes, Mr. President, you can do anything you want. I'm going to ask a question about race, but if you want to answer about something else, go ahead. But I think that the country would be better served if we allowed both people to speak with fewer interruptions. I'm feeling this sort of do.
And he did.
Well, frankly, you've been doing more interrupting
That's
than
all
he
right, but he does plenty.
well, less than you have. Let's please continue on. The issue of race. Vice President Biden, you say that President Trump's response to the violence in Charlottesville 3 years ago, when he talked about very fine people on both sides, was what directly led you to launch this run for president. President Trump, you have often said that you believe you have done more for black Americans than any president, with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln. My question for the two of you is, why should voters trust you rather than your opponent to deal with the race issues facing this country over the next 4 years? Vice President Biden, you go first.
It's about equity and equality. It's about decency. It's about the Constitution. And we
Yeah, the whole
have
thing
a
has
way of
been a lost.
trying to acquire-
The whole thing is a lost
equity for everyone, equality for the whole.
control.
But we've never accomplished it. We've never walked away from it like he
I'd like to think he's
And
trying.
it's true. The reason I got in the race is when those people, close your eyes, remember what those people look like coming out of the fields carrying torches, their veins bulging, spewing anti-Semitic bile and accompanied by the Ku Klux Klan. A young woman got killed. And they asked the president what he thought. He said there were very fine people on both sides. No president has ever said anything like that.
It is
now, second point I make to you is that when Floyd was killed, Mr. Floyd was killed, there was a peaceful protest in front of the White House. What did he do? He came out of his bunker,
Police
had the military
intervention.
use tear gas on him so he could walk across to a church. And
This is the
hold up
chubby
a
one with the
Bible.
orange skin.
And then what
He
happened?
broke the rules.
The bishop of that very church said,
Yeah, he's the
that it was a
president,
disgrace.
so-
The general who was with him said all he ever wants to do is divide.
Probably can impeach
not
himself.
unite people at all. This is a president who has used everything as a dog whistle to try to generate racist hatred, racist division. This is a man who, in fact, you talk about helping African Americans. 1 in 1,000 African Americans has been killed because of the coronavirus. And if he doesn't do something quickly by the end of the year, 1 in 500 will have been killed. 1 in 500 African Americans. This man is the savior of African Americans. This man cares at all. This man's done virtually nothing. Look, the fact is that you have to look at what he talks about. You have to look at what he did. And what he did has been disastrous for the African American community.
President Trump, you have 2 minutes. Why should Americans trust you over your opponent to deal with racism?
We did a crime bill, 1994, where you call them super predators, African Americans are super predators, and they've never forgotten it. They've never forgotten it, Joe.
No, sir, it's in 2 minutes.
So you did that, and they call you a super predator, and I'm letting people out of jail now that you have treated the African American population community, you have treated the black community about as bad as anybody in this country. You did the 1990, and that's why
The crime bill.
at the polls, I'm doing better than any Republican has done in a long time because they saw what you did. You called them super predators, and you
Crime
called them
bill.
worse than that. Because you look back at your testimony over the years, you called them a lot worse than that. As far as the church is concerned, and as far as the generals are concerned, we just got the support of 250 military leaders and generals. Total support. Law enforcement, almost every law enforcement group in the United States. I have Florida, I have Texas, I have Ohio, I have Brooklyn. The sheriff just came out today and he said, I support President Trump. I don't think you have any law enforcement. You can't even say the word law enforcement because if you say those words, you're going to lose all of your radical left supporters. And why aren't you saying those words, Joe? Why don't you say the words law enforcement? Because you know what? If they called us in Portland, we would put out that fire in a half an hour, but they won't do it because they're run by radical left Democrats. If you look at Chicago, if you look at any place you want to look, Seattle, they heard we were coming in the following day and they put up their hands and we got back Seattle. Minneapolis, we got it back, Joe, because we believe in law and order, but you don't. The top 10 cities and just about the top 40 cities are run by Democrats and in many cases radical left, and they've got you wrapped around their finger, Joe, to a point where you don't want to say anything about law and order. And I'll tell you what, the people of this country
I'm for the
want
foghorn.
and demand law and order, and you're afraid to even say it.
All right. I want to return to the question of race. Vice President Biden, after the grand jury in the Breonna Taylor case decided not to charge any of the police with homicide, you said it raises the question, quote, whether justice could be equally applied in America. Do you believe that there is a separate but unequal system of justice for black in this country?
Yes, there is. There's systemic injustice in this country, in education, in work, and in law enforcement, and the way in which it's enforced. But look, the vast majority of police officers are good, decent, honorable men and women. They risk their lives every day to take care of us. But there are some bad apples. When they occur, when they find them, they have to be sorted out. They have to be held accountable. They have to be held accountable. And what I'm going to do as President of the United States is call together an entire group of people at the White House, well, everything from the civil rights groups, the police officers, the police chiefs, and we're going to work this out. We're going to work this out so we change the way in which we have more transparency in when these things happen. These cops aren't happy to see what happened to George Floyd. These cops aren't happy to see what happened to Breonna Taylor. Most don't like it. But we have to have a system where people are held accountable. And by the way, violence in response is never appropriate. Never appropriate. Peaceful protest is. Violence is never appropriate.
Right.
What is peaceful protest? When they run through the middle of the town and burn down your stores and
More
kill
cowbell.
people in the place,
That
you
is
say
not
peaceful
peaceful
protest.
President
No,
Trump,
it's
I'm not
not,
asking.
but you say
I think I could do that.
President Trump,
It's
I
fun,
think
the
we're
cowbell,
gonna
though.
get to the issue of race. I promise we're going to get to the issue of law and order in a moment. This month, your administration directed federal agencies to end racial sensitivity training that addresses white privilege or critical race theory. Why did you decide to do that, to end racial sensitivity training? And do you believe that there is systemic racism in this country, sir?
I ended it because it's racist. I ended it because a lot of people were complaining that they were asked to do things that were absolutely insane, that it was a radical revolution that was taking place in our military, in our schools, all over the place, and you know it, and so does everybody
what
else,
is radical,
and he would know.
What is
it's
radical
totally
about
racist.
racial sensitivity training?
If you were a certain person, you had no status in life. It was sort of a reversal. And if you look at the people, we were paying people hundreds of thousands of dollars to teach very bad ideas and frankly very sick ideas. And really, they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow that to happen. We have to go back to the core values of this country. They were teaching people that our country is a horrible place, it's a racist place, and they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to allow that to happen.
Vice President Biden?
Nobody's doing that. He's racist.
You just don't.
Here's the deal. I know a lot more about
You
this.
don't.
than he does.
Let him finish.
The fact is that there is racial insensitivity. People have to be made aware of what other people feel like, what insults them, what is demeaning to them. It's important to people know they don't want to. Many people don't want to hurt other people's feelings, but it makes a big difference. It makes a gigantic difference in the way a child is able to grow up and have a sense of self-esteem. It's a little bit like how this guy and
Gotta
his
put the
friends
record
look
player
down
on.
so many people. They look down
Gotta
on people like
make sure they hear
like
words.
me and grow up in Scranton. They look down on people who don't have money. They look down on people who are of a different faith. They look down on people who are a different color. In fact, we're all Americans. The only way we're going to bring this country together is bring everybody together. There's nothing we cannot do if we do it together. We can take this on and we can defeat racism in America.
President Trump, sir.
During the Obama-Biden administration, there was tremendous division. There was hatred. You look at Ferguson, you go to very many places. Look at Oakland. Look what happened in Oakland. Look what happened in Baltimore. Look what happened. Frankly, it was more violent than what I'm even seeing now. But the reason is that the Democrats that run these cities don't want to talk like you about law and order.
Violent
you
crime.
still haven't mentioned.
Violent
Are you
crime.
in favor of law and order?
I'm in favor of law. You follow
Are you in favor of law and order? Go ahead.
You asked a question, let him finish.
Law and order.
This is law and order.
Let him.
Law and order with justice, where people get treated fairly. And the fact of the matter is, violent crime went down 15% in our administration. It's gone up on his watch. He had.
All right, we're now. Mr. President, you're going to. Mr. President, Mr. President, you're going to be very happy because we're now going to talk about law and order.
We had trouble with Democratic-run cities.
That's exactly my question. There has been a dramatic increase in homicides in America this summer, particularly, and you often blame that on Democratic mayors and Democratic governors, but in fact there have been equivalent spikes in Republican-led cities like Tulsa and Fort Worth. So the question is this really a party issue?
I think it's a party issue. You could bring in a couple of examples, but if you look at Chicago, what's going on in Chicago, where 53 people were shot and 8 died shot. If you look at New York, where it's going up like nobody's ever seen anything, the numbers are going up 100, 150, 200%. Crime. It is crazy what's going on. And he doesn't want to say law and order because he can't, because he'll lose his radical left supporters. And once he does that, it's over with. But if he ever got to run this country, and they ran it the way he would want to run it, we would have, our suburbs would be gone. By the way, our suburbs would be gone. And you would see problems like you've never seen.
He would know a suburb unless he took a wrong turn.
Oh, I know suburbs.
He would. I was raised in the suburbs. This is not 1950. All these dog whistles and racism don't work anymore. Suburbs are by and large integrated. There's many people today driving their kids to soccer practice and or to black and white and Hispanic in the same car as there have been any time in the past. What really is a threat to the suburbs and their safety is his failure to deal with COVID. They're dying in the suburbs. His failure to deal with the environment. They're being flooded. They're being burned out because his refusal to do anything. That's why the suburbs are in trouble.
I do want to talk about this issue of law and order, though. And in the joint recommendation that came from the Biden-Bernie Sanders task force, you talked about, quote, reimagining policing. First of all, what does reimagining policing mean, and do you support? It means, let me, if I might finish the question, what does reimagining policing mean, and do you support the Black Lives Matter calls for community control of policing?
Look, what I support is the police having the opportunity to deal with the problems they face. And I'm totally opposed to defunding the police officers. As a matter of fact, local police, the only one defunding it, his budget calls for a $400 million cut in local law enforcement assistance. They need more assistance. They need, when they show up for a 9/11 call, to have someone with them as a psychologist or psychiatrist to keep them from having to use force and be able to talk people down. We have to have community policing like we had before, where the officers get to know the people in the communities. That's when crime went down. It didn't go up, it went down. And so we have to be engaged.
That's not what they're talking about, Chris. That's not what they're talking about. He's talking about defunding the police.
That is not true.
He doesn't have any law support. He has no law enforcement
That's not
support.
true.
Almost
That's
nothing.
Look.
Oh, really? Who do you have? Name one group that supports you. Name one group that came out and supported you. Go ahead.
Look,
think. We have time.
We don't have time to do anything.
Think about it. Name one law enforcement group that came out and supported.
Gentlemen, I think I'm going to take back the moderator's role, and I want to get to another subject, which is the issue of protests in many cities that have turned violent. In Portland, Oregon, especially, we had more than 100 straight days of protests, which I think you would agree. You talk about peaceful protests. Many of those turned into riots. Vice President, you say that people who commit crimes should be held accountable. The question I have, though, is, as the Democratic nominee, and earlier tonight you said that you are the Democratic Party right now, have you ever called the Democratic mayor of Portland or the Democratic governor of Portland
My
and said,
beautiful tunes are being ruined.
You've got to stop this, bring in the National Guard.
I'd like to think of it more as my beautiful tunes are
days and months of violence.
making this more digestible.
I don't hold public office now. I am a former vice president. I've made it clear in my public statements that the violence should be prosecuted. It should be prosecuted, and anyone who commits it
But you've never called for the people, the leader. Excuse me, sir. You had never called for the leaders in Portland and in Oregon to bring in the National Guard and knock off.
Yeah, I think they were helping.
They can, in fact, take care of it if he just stay out of the way. Look here.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
Here's the thing.
I sent in the U.S. Marshals to get the killer of the young man in the middle of the street. They shot him, and for 3 days, Portland wouldn't do anything. I had to send in the U.S. Marshals. They took care of business.
Go ahead.
Palatable.
And by the way, his own former spokesperson said, riots and chaos and violence help his cause. That's what this is all about.
I don't know who said that.
I do.
Who?
I think Kellyanne Conway.
I don't think she said that.
She said that. And so here's the here's the point. The point is that
someone fact check.
Someone
fact check that shit.
He doesn't want to calm things down. Instead of going in and talking to people and saying, let's get everybody together, figure out how to deal with this. What's he do? He just pours gasoline in the fire constantly, and every single solitary time.
And to button up this segment, I'm going to give you a minute to answer, sir. You have repeatedly criticized.
I have to answer his statement.
You have repeatedly. You've been talking back and forth.
He made a statement.
I'm asking you.
I would love to end it.
Sir.
I would love to end it.
If you want to switch seats,
we could very quickly.
We could do that, but
I'd send in the National Guard. It would be over. There'd be no problem.
Okay.
But they don't want to accept the National Guard.
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing.
Who do you guys think is winning?
But are you willing
Who do you guys think is winning?
To condemn white supremacists and
militia
groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland.
Sure,
Are you
I'm willing
prepared
to do
specifically
that, but
do it?
Well, go ahead, sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it.
Do you want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name.
supremacists
Who
and
would
right
you like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud
militia.
Boys, stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem.
What?
This is a left-wing.
This
He told Proud Boys to stand back and stand by.
Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you gotta be
not
kidding.
malicious. That's what his FBI. His FBI director said.
Well, then you know what?
Jesus Christ,
we're done,
dude.
sir. We're moving on to the next. We're moving.
When a bat hits you over the head, that's not an idea.
Everybody in
Antifa
your
is
administration tells you the truth has a bad idea.
Can I tell you what?
You have no ideas.
Antifa is a dangerous,
all right,
radical
gentlemen,
group.
we're now moving
I'll
on
do
to the
it.
Trump and
You ought to be
Biden
careful
records.
with them. They'll overthrow you.
When a president, I'm going to ask a question. When the president seeks a second term, it is generally a referendum on his record. But Vice President Biden, you like to quote one of your dad's sayings, which is, don't compare me to the almighty, compare me to the alternative. And in this case, sir, you are the alternative. Looking at both of your records, I'm going to ask each of you, why should voters elect you president over your opponent in this segment? President Trump, you go first, 2 minutes.
Because there has never been an administration or president who has done more than I've done in a period of 3.5 years. And that's despite the impeachment
People say that. I've heard that from
and
folks.
You saw what happened today with Hillary Clinton, where it was a whole big con job.
So obviously people are listening to his talking
all of
points.
these things where I had to fight both flanks and behind me and above, there has never been an administration that's done what I've done. The greatest, before COVID came in, the greatest economy in history, lowest unemployment numbers. Everything was good. Everything was going. And by the way, there was unity going to happen. People were calling me for the first time in years. They were calling and they were saying, it's time maybe. And then what happened? We got hit, but now we're building it back up again. A rebuilding of the military, including Space Force and all of the other things. A fixing of the VA, which was a mess under him. 308,000 people died because they didn't have proper health care. It was a mess. And we now got a 91% approval rating at the VA, our vets. We take care of our vets. But we've rebuilt our military. The job
Yeah, he said
we've
he
done, and
changed
I'll
it
tell
to
you
Proud
people
Boys
say
because
maybe
Joe
the most
Biden said
important.
Proud Boys.
By the end of the first term, I'll have
Joe Biden didn't
approximately
interrupt and let the moderator do his
federal
fucking
judges and
job.
Court of
And then
Appeals judges, 300. And
he gave him an
hopefully
out.
3 great Supreme Court judges.
Proud Boys? That's
justices.
just like
That
that's
is
very
a
small.
record,
That's
the likes of which
white
very
supremacists
few
is
people-
much.
And you know one of the reasons
You know what I
have so
mean?
many judges? Because President Obama and him left me 128 judges to fill. When you leave office, you don't leave any judges. That's like you just don't do that. They left 128
Yeah, that's
openings.
fucked up.
And if I were a member of his party, because they have a little different philosophy, I'd say if you left us
That's some
128
fucked up
openings,
shit, my
you can't be a
man.
good president. You can't be a
That's
good
some
vice
fucked up
president.
shit, my
But I
man.
want to thank you because it gives us almost. It'll probably be above
That's some
that number.
fucked
By the
up
end
shit,
of this
my
term,
man.
300 judges. It's a record.
Looking at both your records, why should voters elect you president as opposed to President Trump? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Yeah, I'm glad that he asked it at least because he refused to do it.
Sicker, poorer, more divided.
Proud Boys,
more
stand
violent.
back and stand by.
When I was vice president, we inherited a recession. I was asked
He's
to fix
just
it.
whining,
I did.
right?
We left him a booming economy, and he caused a recession. With regard to being weaker,
Also,
the fact is that
Joe Biden
I've
just
gone
correctly
head-to-head
identified
with Putin
Antifa.
and made it clear to him we're not going to take any of his stuff. He's Putin's puppy. He still refuses to even say anything to Putin about the bounty on the heads of American soldiers.
Your son got
And-
$3.5 million.
That's right. And
Mr.
by the way,
Mr.
my
President,
Also,
son-
Mitch
wait a minute.
McConnell wouldn't
Mr.
fill the
President,
judges.
Your campaign agreed to both sides would get 2
Yeah, he knew right. He didn't talk.
answers
He
uninterrupted. Well,
he
your
could talk
side
white
agreed to
past it. Yeah.
And why don't you observe what your campaign agreed to as a ground rule, okay, sir?
He never keeps his word. Can you add back
No,
He's
I'm
a
not
person
asking.
that's
That
not
was a
telling
rhetorical
the truth, that's
question.
all.
Can you
Go
add
ahead,
back
sir.
30 seconds?
Yeah,
Because-
yes,
okay.
you may have.
All right.
Go ahead.
So
Walking. He's
thirdly,
talking right past
we're
it.
poor.
He's going right past
Billionaires
it.
have gotten much more wealthy by a tune of over $300 to $400 billion more just since COVID. You in the home, you got less. You're in more trouble than you were before. In terms of being more violent.
God
when
damn
we were
it,
in
dude.
office, there were 15%
Joe Biden's
less
just like sometimes
violence
just
in
doesn't
America
make
than
any
there is today.
sense.
He's president of the United States. It's
just
on his watch. And with regard to more divided,
You know what
the
I mean?
nation can't stay divided. We can't be this way. And speaking of my son, the way you talk about the military, the way you talk about them being losers and being
All right, more whiskey.
and just being suckers. My son was in Iraq. He spent a year there.
We're finishing it.
He got the Bronze Star. He got the Conspicuous Service Medal. He was not a loser. He was a patriot. And the people left behind there were heroes.
All right, his son.
And I resent.
Are you talking
like
about
hell.
Hunter? Are you talking about
I'm
Hunter?
talking about my son, Bo Biden. You're talking about.
I don't know, Bo. I know Hunter.
Yeah,
Hunter
you know,
got
Bo.
thrown.
I
Hunter
missed.
got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. He
For
wasn't dishonorably
cocaine
discharged.
use. And he didn't
Wow,
have a
he's
job
talking shit
until
about
he
his
became
son.
vice
I
president.
don't think I've ever
Once you
seen that
believe
on a presidential
Hunter,
debate.
He made a fortune in Ukraine,
Holy
in
shit.
China, in Moscow,
That is simply
and various
not
other places.
true.
He
My
made a
son,
fortune.
my son,
and he didn't have a job.
My son, like a lot of people we know at home, had a drug problem. He's overtaken it. He's fixed it. He's worked on it, and I'm proud of him.
But why was he
proud of
given
my
tens
son.
of millions
All
of
right, but
dollars?
he wasn't given
All right,
tens of millions of dollars. That is
Yeah, very
totally-
disrespectful
that is
shit, man.
totally
This whole thing is fucked up.
Totally discredited.
We've already
Wallace.
been through this. I think the American people would rather hear about more substantial
So do I.
subjects. Well, you know, as the moderator, sir, I'm going to make a,
I know,
a
but when
judgment call
somebody
here.
gets $3.5 million
Okay, great.
from the
Let's
mayor
talk about
of Moscow,
Let's
That
talk
is
about.
not
I think
true.
it's a terrible
That
thing.
report is totally
Why did he get
discredited.
it?
I
Mitt
This
Romney
is the
on
shredding
it
of
said
the
it wasn't more
illusions of the
taxpayers' money.
duopoly.
That report is written for political reasons.
You know,
It's pretty
I'd like to talk
crazy.
about climate change.
So would I.
Okay. The forest fires in the West are raging now. They have burned millions of acres. They have displaced hundreds of thousands of people.
Here we go,
When state
climate
officials
change.
there blame the fires on climate change, Mr. President, you said, I don't think the science knows. Over your 4 years, you have pulled the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Accord. You have rolled back a number of Obama environmental records. What do you believe about the science of climate change, and what will you do in
I
the
wish
next
he asked
4
about
years
drug
to
habit.
confront it?
I want crystal clean water and air. I want beautiful clean air. We have now the lowest carbon. If you look at our numbers right now, we are doing phenomenally. But I haven't destroyed our businesses. Our businesses aren't put out of commission. If you look at the Paris Accord, it was a disaster from our standpoint. And people are actually very happy about what's going on because our businesses are doing well. As far as the fires are concerned, you need forest management in addition to everything else. The forest floors are loaded up with trees.
Didn't he say
dead
that climate
trees
change
that
was
are
a
years
Chinese
old and they're like
hoax?
tinder,
Is that true?
and leaves and everything
I feel like
else.
that's-
You drop a cigarette in there, the whole forest burns down. You've got to have forest management.
What do you
You've got to have
believe?
cuts.
What do you believe
I think
about the science of
I hope they're all
climate
on
change?
drugs right now.
I believe that we have to do everything we can to have immaculate air, immaculate
say
water,
crystal.
and do whatever
Crystal
else we
clear
can. That's
water.
What, we're
I want
planting
crystal
a billion
clear water.
trees, the Billion Tree Project, and it's very
Do you
exciting. for a
believe
lot of
that,
people.
that
Billion
human
trees.
pollution, greenhouse gas emissions contributes to the global warming of
I
this
think
planet?
a lot of things do, but I think to an extent, yes. I think to an extent, yes.
Wow.
But I also think we have to
That's
do
progress.
better management of our forests.
I've never heard him say that before.
I get the call, California's burning. California's burning. If that was cleaned, if
was
that
still
were-
like half-
if you had
a half
forest management,
admission.
good forest management, you wouldn't be getting those calls. You know, in Europe, they have forest cities. They're called forest cities. They maintain their forests. They manage their forests. I was with the head of a major country. It's a forest city. He said, sir, we have trees that are far more, they ignite much easier than California. There shouldn't be that problem. I spoke with the governor about it. I'm getting along very well with the governor. But I said, you know, at some point, you can't every year have hundreds of thousands of acres of land just burned to the ground.
But, sir,
That's burning down because of a lack of
But,
management.
sir, if you believe in the science
Just
of
bad
climate
forest
change,
management.
why have you rolled back the Obama Clean Power Plan, which limited carbon emissions in power plants. Why have you relaxed?
Because it was driving energy prices through the sky.
Why have you relaxed fuel economy standards
So you just
that
admitted.
are going to create more pollution from cars
Well,
and
not
trucks?
really, because what's happening is the car is much less
Yeah,
expensive,
exactly.
and it's a much
Everything he
safer car.
says, it's like,
And you're
oh, well,
talking
maybe
about
he
a
said
tiny
something right.
difference,
And then
what
it's
would
like,
happen
out of the
because the
million
cost of
things
the
that he
car,
said wrong.
you would have at least double and
Yeah.
triple the number of cars purchased. We have the old slugs out there that are 10, 12 years old.
Yeah, they
If
both
you
look
did
like,
that,
you're
the
right,
car
Leo,
would
they
be
both look
safer,
like they have
it would
fake
be much
tans.
cheaper by
But in the case of
$3,500.
California, they've simply
No,
ignored
but you would take
your
a lot of cars
roadmap.
off the market because people would be able to afford a car. Now, and by the way, we're going to see how that turns out. But a lot of people agree with me, many people. The car has gotten
So many people.
expensive because they have computers all over the place for an extra little bit of gasoline. And
That's not-
and
What
I'm
the
okay
fuck,
with electric
dude?
cars too. I think I'm all for electric cars. I've given big incentives for electric cars. But what they've done in California is just crazy.
He like
President Biden,
for a
I'd like
second
you
there was
to
going to start to
respond
talk about how
the
cars
president's
work,
climate
and then
change
realized
record,
like,
but I also want to
yeah,
ask
you can't tread.
about a concern. You proposed $2 trillion in green jobs. You talk about new limits, not abolishing, but new limits.
These
on
are our two best
fracking,
options, guys.
Ending the
Just
use
know
of
that this
fossil
whole time.
fuels to generate electricity by 2035, and zero net emissions
And
of
also,
greenhouse gases
Trump,
by 2050.
he talked about forests.
The president says
He
a lot of
owns,
these things would tank
like
the
he
economy and
controls the
cost
U.S.
millions of
Forest
jobs.
Service.
He's absolutely wrong, number one. Number two, if in fact, during our administration, the Recovery Act, I was in charge, able to bring down the cost of renewable energy to cheaper than or as cheap as coal
I hope
and gas.
Biden
and oil.
has a
Nobody's
lot
gonna
more
build
drugs.
another,
You know what I mean? To
coal-fired
keep him
plant
through
in
this
America.
debate.
No one's
They
going to build
really
another
need him
oil-fired
to
plant in
go-
America. They're going to
you know.
move to renewable energy, number one. Number two, we're going to make sure that we are able to take the federal fleet and turn it into a fleet that's run on their electric vehicles. Making sure that we can do that, we're going to put 500,000 charging stations and all of the highways. that we're
Dude,
gonna
did
be
you
building
did you know
we're
that
gonna build
the
an
U.S. Postal
economy
Service,
that, in
before they
fact,
got gutted
is going
in
to
Congress, I
provide
just
for
read that
the ability
they
us
were
to
going to
take 4 million
transform their entire
buildings
fleet to
and make
electric
sure that
vehicles.
they, in fact, are weatherized.
And then
in a
Congress,
way
like,
that, in
changed-
fact, they'll
it was under
emit
the
significantly less
Bush
gas
administration.
and oil because the heat will not be going out. There's so many things
Leo,
that we can do now to create.
I'd say like
thousands and thousands of jobs.
25%
We
at
can get
most
to
of what
net
they're saying is
zero
relevant.
in terms of energy production.
Most of what they're
by
saying is not relevant.
2035.
Most of it is
Not
just
only not
bullshit.
costing people jobs,
And they're just yelling at
creating
each other.
jobs, creating millions of good paying jobs, not $15 an hour, but prevailing wage, by having a new infrastructure that in fact is green. And the first thing I will do, I will rejoin the Paris Accord. I will join the Paris Accord because with us out of it, look what's happening. It's all falling apart. And talk about someone who has no relationship with foreign policy. Brazil, the rainforests of Brazil are being torn down, are being ripped down. More carbon is
Welcome to
absorbed in
America.
that rainforest than every bit of carbon that's emitted in the United States.
Welcome to
Instead of doing
America.
something about that, I would be gathering up and making sure we had the countries of the world coming up with $20 billion and say, here's $20 billion. Stop tearing down the forest. And if you don't, then you're going to have significant economic consequences.
What about the argument that President Trump basically says that you have to balance environmental interests and economic interests, and he's drawn his line?
Well, he hadn't drawn a line. He still, for example, make sure that he wants to make sure that methane's not a problem. You can now emit more methane without it being a problem. Methane. This is a guy who says that you don't have to have mileage standards for automobiles that exist now. This is the guy who says that, well, the fact that it's all true. And here's the deal.
He's talking about the Green New Deal, and it's not $2 billion or $20 billion, as you said. It's $100 trillion.
I'm talking about
where they want to rip down buildings and rebuild the building.
No,
it's the
that is
dumbest,
not-
most
that
ridiculous.
is not-
Where airplanes are out of business, where two-car systems are out, where they
Not
want
true.
to take out the cows too.
Not
That's
true.
not true either, right?
Not
This is a 100
Simply,
trillion.
look,
That's more money than our
it is-
country could make in
It is
100
simply
years if it were
not the case.
All right.
Methane.
Let me take that, because I actually, wait a minute.
Methane?
I actually have studied your plan, and it includes upgrading 4 million buildings, weatherizing 2 million homes over 4 years, building 1.5 million energy-efficient homes, So the question becomes...
Methane?
The president is saying, I think some people who support the president...
Methane?
Say that sounds like it's going to cost a lot of money and hurt the economy.
What it's going to do, it's going to create thousands and millions of jobs, good-paying jobs.
But let him finish, sir.
He doesn't know how to do that. The fact is, it's going to create millions of good-paying jobs, and these tax incentives to people for people to weatherize, which he wants to get rid of. It's going to make the economy much safer. Look how much we're paying now to deal with the hurricanes. By the way, he has an answer for hurricanes. He said maybe we should drop a nuclear weapon on them. They may.
I never said that.
That's what he did say.
You made it up.
And here's the deal.
You make up.
We are going to be in a position where we can create hard, good jobs by making sure the environment is clean and we all are in better shape. We spend billions of dollars now, billions of dollars on floods, hurricanes, rising seas.
What we need is some hard, good jobs,
Look what's happening
guys.
just in the Midwest with these storms that come through and wipe out entire sections and counties in Iowa. They didn't happen before. They're because of global warming. We make up 15% of the world's problem. We, in fact, but the rest of the world, we've got to get them to come along. That's why we have to get back into the Paris Accord.
All right, gentlemen.
Wait a minute, Chris. So why didn't you do it for 47 years? You were vice president. Why didn't you get the world? China sends up real dirt into the air. Russia does. India does. They all do. We're supposed to be good. And by the way, he made a couple of statements. The Green New Deal is $100 trillion.
That is not my plan.
That's
the Green New
you want to
Deal
rebuild every
is
building.
not my plan.
I want to rebuild every.
If he knew anything about,
he made a statement about the military. He said I said something about the military. He and his friends made it up, and then they went with it. I never said it.
Okay.
That is
what
not
he
true.
did is
You're
he
done
said
in this segment.
he called the military
Mr. Vice President,
stupid bastards.
I
and he
did
said
not
it on
say
tape. He said
Mr.
stupid
Please,
bastards.
sir, stop.
China.
I would never say that.
Play it.
Stop.
Play it.
Okay.
China.
Mr. Vice President answered his final question.
The final question is, I can't remember which of all his rantings.
I'm having a little trouble myself, but and about the economy and about this question of what it's going to cost.
The economy.
I mean, the Green New Deal and the idea of what your environmental changes will do.
The Green New Deal will pay for itself as we move forward. You're not going to build plants that, in fact, are great polluting plants.
But do you support the Green New Deal?
Good, hard, good
no,
jobs.
I don't support the Green New Deal.
You don't? Oh, well, that's a big statement.
I support
the radical left.
I support the Biden plan that I put forward.
Okay.
The Biden plan, which is
everyone knows he doesn't support the Green New Deal.
The radical Green New Deal.
All right, gentlemen, final segment, election integrity. As we meet tonight, millions of Americans are receiving mail-in ballots or going to vote early.
Everyone knows he doesn't support the Green New Deal.
Should we be that this will be a fair election? And what are you prepared to do over the next 5+ weeks? Because it'll not only be to Election Day, but also counting some ballots, mail-in ballots after Election Day. What are you prepared to do to reassure the American people that the next president will be the legitimate winner?
Will you shut
of
up,
this
man?
election in this final
Yeah,
segment?
right.
Mr. Vice President, you go first.
Prepared to let people vote. They should go to iwillvote.com.
Who is the memes? Who is the
decide
memes?
how they're going to vote, when they're going to vote, and what means by which they're going to vote.
Is there a meme?
Homeland Security Director and
feed?
as well as the FBI Director says there is no
Trending.
evidence at all that mail-in ballots are a source of being manipulated and cheating. They said that. The fact is that there are going to be millions of people because of COVID that are going to be voting by mail-in ballots, like he does, by the way. He sits behind the Resolute desk and sends his ballot to Florida, number one. Number two, we're going to make sure that those people who want to vote in person are able to vote because enough poll watchers are there to make sure they can socially distance. The polls are open on time, and the polls stay open until the votes are counted. And this is all about trying to dissuade people from voting because he's trying to scare people into thinking that it's not going to be legitimate. Show up and vote. You will determine the outcome of this election. Vote, vote, vote. If you're able to vote early in your state, vote early. If you're able to vote in person, vote whatever way is the best way for you, because he cannot stop you from being able to determine the outcome of this election. And in terms of whether or not
Here's the deal.
votes are counted, and they're all counted, that will be accepted. If I win,
Oh, my
that will
Lord.
be accepted. If I lose, that'll be accepted. But by
Oh,
the
wait,
way,
we're looking at the wrong
if in
things.
fact he says he's not sure what he's
What-
going to accept,
what happened to it?
Well, let me tell you something. It doesn't matter, because if we get the votes, it's going to be all over. He's going to go.
Where'd it go?
He can't stay in power. It won't happen. It won't happen.
Where'd it
So
go?
vote. Just make sure you understand you have it in your control to determine what this country is going to look like the next 4 years. Is it going to change, or you get 4 more years of these lies?
Mr. President, 2 minutes.
So when I listened to Joe talking about a transition, there's been no transition from when I won. I won that election.
Yeah, where's
If
the
you look
yapping
at-
gift?
Look at Hillary Clinton. If you look
GIF.
at all
Oh,
of the different
whiskey's
people,
getting to me.
There was no transition.
Nobody
because they
cares.
came after me trying to do a coup.
Here it is.
They came after me spying on my campaign. They started from the day I won, and even before I won.
I want
from
just
the day I
him.
came
Oh, there
down
it is.
the escalator with our First Lady. They were a disaster. They were a disgrace to our country, and we've caught them. We've caught them all. We've got it all on tape. We've caught them all. And by the way, you gave the idea for the Logan Act against General Flynn. You better take a look at that, because we caught you in a sense, and President Obama was sitting in the office. He knew about it.
I should
too,
make
so
that
don't
my
tell
new
me about
follow.
a free transition. As far as
Animation
the ballots
GIF.
are concerned, it's a disaster. A solicited
Do I keep
ballot.
saying gift?
Okay, solicited is okay. You're soliciting, you're asking, they send it back, you send it back. I did that. If you have an unsolicited, they're sending millions of ballots all over the country. There's fraud. They found them in creeks. They found some with the name Trump, just happened to have the name Trump just the other day in a waste paper basket. They're being sent all over the place. They
Just so
sent
happened to
two
be in a
a
waste paper
Democrat area.
basket.
They sent out 1,000 ballots. Everybody got 2 ballots. This is going to be a fraud like you've never seen. The other thing, it's nice
What
on
is he
November
talking
3rd,
about?
you're watching and you see who won the election. And I think we're going to do well, because people are really happy with the job we've done. But you know what? We won't know. We might not know for months, because these ballots are going to be all over. Take a look at what happened in Manhattan. Take a look at what happened in New Jersey. Take a
Whoa,
look
dude,
at
is
what happened
CBS
in
News?
Virginia and
CBS
other
News
places.
is pumping these
They're not
out.
losing 2%, 1%, which, by the way, is too much. An election could be won or lost.
That's
with
pretty-
that.
that's pretty
They're
dope,
losing
actually.
30 and 40%. It's a fraud, and it's a shame. And can you imagine where they say you have to have your ballot in by November
it's their
10th.
official account on
November 10th. That
on
means
Giphy.
That's 7 days after the election, in theory, should have been announced.
Okay.
We have major states with that, all run by
2
Democrats.
minutes is 2 minutes.
All run
But
by
I don't see their like
Democrats.
feed. I don't see their feed. Maybe it's
You're going to be able to continue.
election 2020.
You've been
Maybe.
charging for months that mail-in balloting is going to be
Nope.
a disaster. You say it's rigged, that it's going to lead to fraud.
Oh, I missed it.
But
When did
in
he say he had a
2018,
mask?
In the last midterm election, 31 million people
Oh, man, I missed
voted
that one.
mail-in voting. That was a quarter, more than a quarter of all the voters that year cast their ballots by mail. Now that millions of mail-in ballots have gone out, what are you going to do about it? And are you counting on the Supreme Court, including a Justice Barrett, to settle any dispute?
Yeah, I think I'm counting on them to look at the ballots, definitely. I don't think we'll,
This
I
is
hope
the
we don't need
yeah,
them
dude. This is the
in
CBS
terms of
News.
the election itself. But for the ballots, I think
Official
so.
Giphy.
Because what's happening is
Wow.
incredible. I read today where at least 1% of the ballots for 2016 were invalidated. They take them. We don't like them. We don't like them.
But what
they
are you
throw
going to
them
do
out
about it?
left
There
and
are
right.
millions of ballots going out
What
right
you
now.
do
What
is
are
you
gonna
go
do?
and vote. You do a solicited ballot,
No,
and that's
I
okay,
know
or
your
you go and
complaint.
vote.
I'm asking you about the fact that millions of people
You go
have
and
received-
vote. You go and
No,
vote
but
like
what I'm
they
saying is, what are you gonna do
used
about
to
the
in
fact
the
that
old.
millions of people-
You either do, Chris, a solicited ballot. where you're
Actually,
sending it in, they're sending it
motherfuckers
back,
have
and
been
you're
voting by
sending-
mail since the
They have
beginning, dude. That's
mailmen
part of why
with
it's in the
lots of them. Did you see
Constitution.
what's going on? Take a look
Like all the
last
war,
weekend,
dude.
your
Everyone
mailmen
and
selling
all the
ballots. They're being
war
sold. They're being
people in the
dumped
military.
rivers. This is a horrible thing.
They vote
for
by
our
mail.
country. This
During the
is
Civil
not-
War, almost like everyone
this is
voted by
not
mail.
going to end well.
There is-
Okay.
That's probably not true. Not almost everybody. But I don't know if that's true or not.
decade or more, 5, including 2 Republican states. And you don't have to solicit
I
the
thought he said
ballot. It's
he's a
sent to you.
racist, not
It's
he's
sent
the
to your home.
racist.
What they're saying is that it has to be a postmark by the time by Election Day. If it doesn't get in till the 7th, 8th, 9th, it still should be counted. He's just afraid of counting the votes because he knows the outcome.
You're wrong.
I want to continue with you on this, Vice President Biden. Because
Chris, he's so wrong when he makes a statement like that.
Excuse me. Vice President Biden, the biggest problem, in fact, over the years with mail-in voting has not been fraud historically. It has been that sizable numbers, sometimes hundreds of thousands of ballots are thrown out because they have not been properly filled out, or there is some other irregularity, or they missed the deadline. So the question I have is, are you concerned that the Supreme Court with a Justice Barrett will settle any dispute?
I'm concerned that any court would settle this because here's the deal. When you get a ballot and you fill it out, you're supposed to have an affidavit.
Yeah, my ballot's been received as well.
Someone say that this is me.
I voted for one of these two people. I think you probably should. You can take a guess.
Before the ballot is thrown out, that's sufficient.
I didn't feel good doing it, but
ballot because someone made a mistake.
You got to do
not dotting the correct I. Who they voted for, testify, say who they voted for, say it's you. That is totally legitimate.
All right.
Excuse me, Chris, when you have 80 million ballots
gentlemen, I have a final
sent in
question.
and swamping the system, you know it can't be done. You know it can't, and already there's been
so now
mail service delivers
wait a minute, gentlemen. The final question is: in 8 states, we can keep talking. In 8 states, election workers are prohibited currently by law. 8 states from even beginning to process ballots, even take them out of the envelopes and flatten them until Election Day. That means that it's likely, because there's going to be a huge increase in mail-in balloting, that we are not going to know on election night who the winner is, that it could be days, it could
Little
be
Derp
weeks,
Zing.
until we find out who the new president is. So first for you, sir, finally for the vice president, I hope neither of you will interrupt the other. Will you urge your supporters to stay calm during this extended period, not to engage in any civil unrest? And will you pledge tonight that you will not declare victory until the election has been independently certified? President Trump, you go first.
I'm urging my supporters to go into the polls and watch very carefully, because that's what has to happen. I am urging them to do it. As you know, today there was a big problem. In Philadelphia, they went in to watch. They're called poll watchers, a very safe, very nice thing. They were
poll
thrown
watchers
out.
are good.
They weren't allowed to watch.
But I don't know
why?
about that case.
Because bad things happen in Philadelphia, bad things.
He's just going to say
And
shit, dude. He's not going to...
He's
going to debate. He's going to evade the question.
Election. If it's a fair election, I am 100% on board. But if I see tens of thousands of ballots being manipulated, I can't go along with that. And I'll tell you what, from a common sense,
does that mean you're going to tell your people to take to the street?
It means you have a fraudulent election. You're sending out 80 million ballots. They're not equipped to. These people aren't equipped to handle it. Number one. Number two, they cheat. They cheat. Hey, they found ballots.
Stay at it, Chris. What the fuck, dude?
3 days ago, and they all had the name military
ballots.
Ask
the question again.
They all had the name Trump on them.
Vice President Biden.
Yeah, see, this is the fucking problem, right? This is the moderator the whole fucking time. Everything, they go back and forth, and he doesn't hold any of them accountable for any lies that they say. Nothing. That's a fucking serious question. He just basically implied that he's
count the ballots, as you pointed out.
He basically implied that he's not going to go along with the election, even if there's just 10,000. If he just says, "Oh, there's 10,000,"
ballots going to take time to do it. And by the way, our military,
and he just said, "Oh, okay, yeah." Anyway, Joe Biden. Don't you think that's a follow-up there?
And that's what's going to happen. Why was it?
Don't you think?
Why is it for them somehow not fraudulent? It's the same process. It's honest. No one has established at all that there is fraud related to mail-in ballots. That somehow it's a fraudulent process.
It's already been established.
I mean, there's a lot of fucking fraud. Like, I don't know about fraud, but
they have no idea what
Vice President Biden, go ahead.
He has no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah, he's kind of making shit up.
I will accept it.
But there's a lot of issues with the legitimacy of the elections. That's for damn sure.
After all the ballots are counted, all the votes are counted, that'll be the end of it. That'll be the end of it. And if it's me, in fact, fine. If it's not me,
keep yapping, man.
I'll support the outcome. And I'll be a president not just for the Democrats.
See, that's a good call. Like, I don't know. At least he'll get some fucking play on the 24-hour news now.
Okay. Gentlemen, you say that's the end of it? This is the end of this debate?
Honest ballot count.
We're going to leave it there? To be continued as in more debates as we go on.
God, Chris Wallace
President
sucks.
Trump, Vice
So
President
do all
Biden,
these
it's been an interesting
motherfuckers.
hour and a half. I want to thank you both for participating in the first of 3 debates that you have agreed to engage in. We want to thank Case Western Reserve University and the Cleveland Clinic for hosting this event. The next debate, sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates, will be 1 week from tomorrow, October 7th, at the University of Utah in Salt Lake City. The
Wait.
2 vice presidential nominees,
Oh, the vice
President
president.
Mike Pence and Senator Kamala Harris.
Oh, that's good.
will debate at 9 p.m. Eastern that night. We hope you watch.
Oh man.
Until then, thank
That's
you.
gonna be a
and good night.
bloodbath, I think, to be totally honest. Fuck, dude. He didn't fall over. Like, Joe Biden didn't fall over. He completed his sentences for the most part. I think Trump, I don't know. It's tough to say. What do you guys think? Who do you think won the debate? I don't know. Do you guys feel like you want to hang yourself from the rafters? Sorry. I laugh because otherwise I'd cry. We got some Trump supporters picking up on the mic. Did he just say "Hail Trump"? Is that what that? Did you guys hear that? Sleep's take. Oh man. Yeah. I mean, honestly, this shit affects the whole fucking world. So that's what's kind of fucked up about this shit. Is like, we all know this is a United States empire, and this might just be a fucking show, right? Like, this is just a fucking smoke and mirrors. Like, this might not even matter, right? Like, these two people are going to end up serving the same masters. Like, you saw Trump being like, Pfizer, whatever, they're the experts, right? You know, like they're the ones who know what's going on.
And now, after the first debate of 2020, it's time to hear your voices and get your views on what you just witnessed in the last 90 minutes. 202 is the area code. For those of you supporting President Trump, dial in at 748-8920.
Should I call?
If you support former Vice President Biden, 202-748-8921. All others, if you are undecided, 202-748-8922. Now, if you can't get through on the phone lines and would still like to have your voice heard, send us a text. 202-748-8903.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that. Part of me wants to, but I feel like then I'm going to be on hold for fucking ever.
748-8903 is the text number. Please include your first name and your city if you send that text. And we'll begin taking those in just a minute. Now, back to the campaign trail. Vice President Biden tomorrow will be on a train tour.
Okay. Fuck. The first 15 minutes. Oh man. Oh boy. Who's to say? That was a shit show. No, I don't want to see what these motherfuckers are saying. I want to see what... Oh, God. Yeah, I'm going to have dark thoughts. You know what? I think I might join you. I think I might eat some pizza and just wallow in my own sadness. Because I feel like, I don't know. Whoops. I did not want to click on that. Yeah. That'll make us all feel better. Some music. Should I play music? To end this motherfucking thing? Should I just... Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it, right? Not this type of music. Some music over in the music section. Yeah, I can go over there. What I need to do is some transitions. I need some like transitions that can move me from one place to another. But speaking of transitions, I need to use the toilet real quick. Before I do that, I'll feel a lot better. So, if you guys don't mind, I'll just take a little break for a second. 1 second. I'll be right back. Just gotta... Oh God. You guys ready? Feeling the funk. You know it. You know I'm feeling the funk. Maybe we should make some funk over there. Well, that was sad. My thing is fucking broken again. God damn it. Son of a biscuit. Yeah. You know, we gotta figure this shit out, right? We gotta figure this shit out. Figure it out. Gotta figure it out. You get the funk. Figure it out. 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 Boom. Bum, bum. That's not how it works. Here we go. What's the met? What? Why is there always this fucking delay? This shit's fucking with me. Had a groove there and lost it. See how easy it is to lose the groove? My phone disconnected to the fucking OBS again, so I can see like people's chats on there, but I can't see it on here. I'm not really sure why it disconnects. But I can't reconnect to it. It's really not fun. Because then I can't see your guys' fucking... Oh, you know what? I should just go on the Twitch app itself. That's probably the way to do it. There we go. There we go. There we go. Yeah, then I can see some shit. I still want to get that groove. Let's get back to that groove. See? 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 Figure it out. Do you guys know how to figure it out? I don't know. I feel like I got it figured out. Nah, I don't. Do you guys have it figured out? Or should we should figure it out? Should we figure it out right now? Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out, you know. Everybody always figures it out. Humans figure it out. Figure it out. Figure it out. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Figuring it out. We're all figuring it out. You know? This is way out of tune. A little bit. Weird. Hey, Smoky Water Studio. I'm gonna play a song that I've never fully recorded and released, but it was one of the first songs I ever wrote. Because I never really finished it. That's basically the song, for the most part. It's just that kind of, that finger-picking pattern. It's like I wrote it about a love song about like the idea of someone or something, or like that concept of like, oh yeah, that the person that will free me from all my problems through love. There's some personified ideal could travel many places, but I couldn't find a woman as fine as you are. I could travel many places, but I couldn't find a woman as fine as you are. Oh no. I could if you only told me, hold me closer than. Yeah, that's it's not finished. Then there's like a. Then it goes in that section where it's like, take everything back, take everything back, hold it for a moment, take all that I have. Yeah, it's it's been a while since I played this fucking song. I never, it was one of the first songs I ever wrote, but I never finished it, and obviously I only know part of it. Take everything back, take everything back, hold it for a moment, take all that I have and throw it in the trash, take everything you want if you only makes me happy, sick, something like that. I don't know why I just go on these tangents of songs that I don't know how to play on these live streams and then just go and not play them. It's lagging too hard for me to enjoy. Damn. Sorry about that, Smokey. That's too bad. But thanks for tuning in and trying. Hope you can come back and enjoy it. So yeah, that was like it's just a tuning that ended up, I ended up using like this G. It's essentially G. What is it? So that's another one. Oof. See how hard it is for me to learn my own songs? Do you understand now? I don't know these songs. But you can understand it's all in G. The same kind of like orientation. So there's that song, Rhapsody in Lieu of Etude, and then there's that part is the. So that's like one of the first little riffs I made, but then a song that I know better on the guitar because I've actually played it a bunch of times is I Cast You to Sea. So it's that same little. See how different they can sound with different rhythms? Or, like, I don't know. To me, that has completely different feelings. And I feel like they're, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe this isn't the most mind-blowing last music part, but I don't know. That was a strange occurrence, that debate. Not gonna lie. And I can play the guitar for a little bit, and it makes me feel a little better for sure. But this classical guitar sounds nice, and I've actually been writing a couple of songs because I've been just starting to play this classical guitar, and I already wrote 2 songs this last couple of weeks. They're mostly, I don't know, they're halfway done, I'd say. I'll put one on Patreon pretty soon. But yeah, I think, I don't know. I'm glad. Whoa. I'm glad. I'm glad you feel better. It's we went through hell and back. We went through it all. But yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. Anyone who's left over from this madness. I don't know if there's any lurkers. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to say hello. Don't be afraid to speak your mind in the chat room. But I'll be back next Tuesday. Ooh. I'll be back next Tuesday with the same old thing. And we'll find out. Leftovers. Did I say leftovers? I thought I said lurkers. Either way, one thing's going to be left over. And that's all of our confusion from this fucking craziness we call life. So, thank you for joining me on this this evening here. I'm gonna do the bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye-bye. 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 Bye. 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 Ba-dum-dum. Bang. Bye-bye. 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 Bang. Bye. Bang. Bye. Bang. Bang. Bye. Yeah, there will be D&D tomorrow. I think it might be the last one for a while, actually. So if there's anyone interested in watching the D&D, it should be some fireworks, hopefully, at the end. But I believe that I will, I don't know, I'm going to start Cullahcast back up again, or replace it with some other games, with some other friends. With Liller was here earlier. The Lil Derp. I don't know if she's here anymore, but she was here, and she's a streamer too, and she's interested in playing some games, so maybe we can get some fun games going on. All right. Bye. Bye-bye. 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 Key change. Bye-bye. Bye, everybody. Have a good week. Thanks for tuning in. This is me winking. Is it working?